and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Sky with 6316, 8.8 for 6,000.
Got 6316, North Approach, going to maintain 3,000, I'm 1 for the right.
3,000, Sky with 6316.
Redwood 811, going to maintain 4,000. Airport's open to Fox,
We take you higher and higher and higher. You feel it over and over again. We take you higher and higher and higher. You feel it over and over again.
6 runway, careful, runway heading, runway 5. Let's take off.
Check.
And we are ready for takeoff. Sit back, relax. It's time to travel with Cosmic Passport. Spaced Out Weekend presents Elizabeth Anglin's Cosmic Passport, a 1-hour warm-up of news, stories, thoughts, and ideas to captivate your mind. You can follow us at spacedoutradio.com.
Now 20 years have passed us by, and we look back and count the time. Burning like the summer sun, when the world was young. As I lay staring from the ground, and 7 trumpets wait to sound.
And now, here's Our Lady of Flight, Cosmic Passport with Elizabeth Anglin.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio Weekend. This is Elizabeth Anglin, your host of Cosmic Passport, coming to you live from, I would say sunny Madrid, New Mexico, but it's not sunny. We have our Christmas festival today. Our Festival of Lights is today. We are lit up like umpteen gazillion, bazillion, trillion Christmas trees. Well, at least our houses are, and some of our trees are, and our rose bushes and all of that. And the neighbors are across the street playing bongo drums and singing Stairway to Heaven. So that's what's going on here in Madrid, New Mexico for the Festival of Lights. Christmas parade, big Christmas parade today, or holiday parade, however you want to say that. And we all stayed open late because it's the kickoff of the holiday season here. This town, I'm going to tell you a little story before I make the announcements for the night. This town used to be so known for its Christmas festival. It was something that the coal miners worked on all year, and they made different displays and camels and creches and snowmen and Frosty and Santas, and they made big ones. A lot of them were woodworkers and very skilled with their hands besides being coal miners and working in the mines. What they would do, we're about an hour northeast of Albuquerque, they would redirect flights over the town at this time of year so that people could look at the displays in the town from the planes. And this meant redirecting the flights over mountains just so people could look at the lights. That's how cool it is here. That's what's going on in Madrid, New Mexico. Not quite the same as it was back in the day before 1957 when everything closed down, but it's still pretty cool. We are here in Cosmic Passport coming to you live. Again, we are so happy to be here. Thanks for listening to us on spacedoutradio.com. And thanks for listening to the show coming up, which is James Tyson and Christine Alexandria talking about angel communication at the top of the hour. If you are listening on High Plains Radio Network, thank you so much for being here. If you're on 107.7 out of New Orleans, thank you for being here. If you're coming in from TuneIn or one of our many other affiliates, we're so glad you're here. We love doing this for our listeners. We do this for you. And, because why? Because we can. Why? Because we like you. And all those other things we could say. But since you are here, if you would like to become a spaced out radio space traveler, please consider doing that. What you have to do is go to spacedoutradio.com and look for the Spaced Out Radio Space Traveler link. Click on it, find out all the cool things that you can get by becoming a space traveler, which includes monthly swag, private interviews, newsletter, being part of the Spaced Out Radio Space Traveler chat room. It's oh so cool. There are many, many things. And besides the archives, which we just, as a matter of course, do, for $5 a month. So, yeah, we're really exclusive here. $5 a month. You can get all the extras and the archives and be part of a very exclusive club, all for $5 a month. It's like getting a big Frappuccino or your local coffee shop's version of a big Frappuccino. Just once a month for this great community. I hope you join. Okay, that being said, let's talk about giving. You could just give us $5 a month, or you could join. All right, tonight I am going to be talking about giving and forgiving, because this is when Madrid has the Festival of Lights. It's the beginning of the holiday season. It's the beginning of Christmas. And what are we celebrating? If you're a Christian, what are you celebrating? Well, I mean, it's summed up. We always hear, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, Jesus Christ, in order to forgive us our sins. So 2 things at once. Giving. We got given this gift in order to forgive. That's pretty awesome. I like it. But what does that have to do with those of us who are interested in the paranormal, who go out to paranormal sites, who investigate hauntings and ghostly happenings and places where some not so good stuff went down, or who may find ourselves in the face of the unknown? Why does giving and forgiving matter to us as paranormal investigators, researchers, people who are involved with alien abductions, UFOs, all sorts of weird stuff? Well, the most practical thing that I can come up with, and you may not know this, you may not have realized this. There was a scholar, I want to call him Dominic. Every time I kind of think of this guy's name, he's a Catholic scholar, Catholic priest, who studied the life of Christ. And he studied what the original Christ taught. And what he found out was that the main thing that we know that the original Christ taught was the Lord's Prayer, which is basically about giving or forgiving. So give us this day our daily bread, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. That's what we're asking God. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Right there you've got, let's clear out this earthly plane, for one. And then the second thing is, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Let's have some divine will here. Let's have our earthly experience be a heavenly experience. Right there, it's one of the most clearing and cleansing things that you could possibly say. You're calling in divinity to clean out the earthly plane, to clean out the astral plane that's around you. Give us this our daily bread. So give us what we need is the next thing that we're engendering from the divine. Give us what we need. And forgive us our trespasses. The next thing, forgive us anything that we've done wrong to you and or others. As we forgive those who trespass against us, we are also willing to be as forgiving as we have been forgiving. For thine is the kingdom and the glory and blah, blah, blah. Finishing it up, the Lord's Prayer, which I should know, but I've turned myself into a knot here talking it so fast. If you know the Lord's Prayer, even if you don't, if you are involved with the paranormal, if you are a psychic, a medium, an intuitive, and you come across something really nasty, gnarly, and heinous, the Lord's Prayer can be your go-to in terms of clearing space. And, you know, some people will say, well, I'm a born Christian, can I just call on Christ? Well, you could, but you might as well just use the Lord's Prayer, because that's what Christ would have you do, and that's what he taught his disciples to do. So if you have any kind of Christian background, even if you're pagan or neo-pagan, a lot of us Christians are kind of neo-pagan because we are everything. It's something that you can use. And if you want to say divinity or, you know, use a different name, a lot of people have been, you know, you can be abused by people with different ideologies. I have a friend who was abused by his very right-wing Christian parents. I was abused by my very left-wing skeptical mother, you know, so I don't like skeptics. This person doesn't like people who are Christian. If, you know, if your sensibilities are such, maybe just get over it, like forgive whoever it is. You can use the Lord's Prayer to clear space. It can work. It's a go-to. Almost everybody knows it. Anybody who's grown up in, you know, North America would know it. It's something that's there. And if you find yourself looking at a skinwalker or looking at something that's not very nice, you can use it to clear your space. But it also brings up 2 points. One is giving and forgiving. And that's also kind of the crux of what our philosophy of religion is in the Western world, giving and forgiving. Think about that for a second. Yes, we want the earth to be made heaven-like, but how all of a sudden does that come into giving, making sure that people are given what they need, and forgiving? How are those things involved? Well, I'm going to go more on the psychological and physiological realm part of giving and forgiving first, because there's a healthy way to give and there's an unhealthy way to give, and let's start with giving. You know, a lot of times people who are empathetic end up getting sucked into giving too much, and that can be problematic. But healthy giving is very healthy for everyone who does it. And I'm going to go over healthy giving because I know some people who I've had conversations with are perceiving in their family and in themselves codependence, unhealthy giving, that sort of thing. Good giving is very, very healthy in a myriad of ways, but unhealthy giving is very unhealthy in a myriad of ways. So it's important to give. It's important to help. Human survival is always going to depend on people taking care of one another. And people will sometimes need my help or your help or somebody's help to overcome an undeserved hardship or a change in their lives. And with support, people who are determined and persistent will achieve their life goals. They will get on top of what it is they have to do. And a little bit of giving can help them get where they want to go and help them be successful. When you're involved in a positive community of giving, the community can ensure the success of individuals and groups by giving in a healthy way, which is a little leg up, a little networking, a little support, find somebody a job, find somebody a home. All of these things that happen when you're in a positive community where people help each other out, those are healthy ways of giving. It doesn't take a lot to help somebody find a job if you know people who hire people. It doesn't take a lot to, you know, network to find somebody a home when they're looking for a home. when you are involved in community. And that community can be your community of paranormal researchers, it could be your church, it could be your coven, it could be the people that you work with. If you forge giving and helping relationships, not codependent, but if you forge positive relationships with the people that you work with, it could be the Little League team. When you're involved in community, it's really important that you honor and are thankful for the community that you have, because members of your community and you as a member of community can practice positive, healthy giving in and of a community support system. One of the things that sort of healthy giving does, like if you put together a person who needs someone to rent their apartment and somebody who needs an apartment to rent, if you put people together, what it does for you, besides just the satisfaction of, oh, hey, thank you, that was really helpful, is it can increase your immune system function, lower your blood pressure, help you sleep better at night, and help you be overall more physically vibrant. And the other thing it does is it clears your space. When people are grateful for the things that you do, or when you're doing something that's not just what's in it for me, and when you're doing something out of an altruistic motivation, you increase your sense of well-being and your body's sense of well-being. You feel as if you're in a community where people take care of each other because you've just done it for someone else. So it's important to take part in healthy giving. Now, unhealthy giving is where you find that the same people, and these could be family members, these could be friends, this could be somebody that you're married to or somebody that you think you're going to get married to, that happened to me once, are not basically being helped when you help them. They're basically living off of you. So, and there's a difference between keeping giving to somebody who doesn't appreciate it, is not persistently going after seeking their own livelihood, seeking to earn their living honestly. They are expecting you to do for them versus being grateful when you do for them. And they have such complicated problems or complicated personality issues or disorders that even if you do help them, nothing changes for them. They're exactly the same year after year after year, expecting others to do for them and take care of them. That's unhealthy giving. Those are vampires. A lot of empathetic people get hooked into vampires because vampires tell such wonderful sob stories. I mean, oh my gosh, this poor person, and they need my help. And then they don't let go. They get their hooks in, and they don't let go. It's really important as an intuitive, as an empathetic person, to remove yourself from situations where you find that you have been perhaps taken advantage of by somebody who is expecting you or has hooked you into giving to them again and again and again, or consistently, or you have become their means of support. Because the only thing that's happening in that case is that you are being drained and you are being set up to give to someone who could very well take care of themselves. It's just that they don't prefer to. It's too much work. So watch out for red flags of vampirism. Watch out for the sob stories that you hear again and again and again. There are healthy ways to give where you really can help someone out and you don't go beyond your means to do it. And oftentimes this will be just a little bit of something in community that gets someone to the right place, that gets them to the right book, that gets them to the right resource, that gets them to the right source of help, where somebody has exactly what they need. It's paying attention. Oftentimes it's paying attention to what's around you to get people to where they need to go. That is fairly easy to do and doesn't require that the person move in with you and eat all the food in your fridge and never pay rent. and those of you who are listening to this know who I'm talking about. But there are many more people I'm also talking about. Healthy givers do not give to takers. And takers are immature, addicted, or personality disordered people that are manipulative, selfish, and willing to take advantage. If you want to be a healthy giver and you know you're giving to a taker, stop. Withdraw your help when the recipients violate their agreements with you, require many times of you bailing them out, or use your help to repeatedly escape taking responsibility. Stop giving to takers. Something empaths and psychics and people who are getting on the path of compassion tend to fall into early on is giving to takers. No, don't do it. There are many more things for you to do with your gifts than keep giving to people who are simply taking. Now, that being said, if you're healthy giving, what happens? Well, even just hearing about somebody who is a healthy giver, or somebody who's involved in something that is giving to people who really need the help. Like there was a Harvard study that had students look at a movie about Mother Teresa working with children in India who really didn't have any help. And just watching the movie about Mother Teresa caused their immune system to spike, and it spiked for over a week. Their CD4 cells, their immune system killer cells, went way, way up when they considered what she was doing, when they considered the gift that she was giving to children in need that really needed, who were the ones who could benefit from it the most. Just watching something like that has immune system benefits. Giving love, actually giving love versus giving criticism helps. There was a 2005 Ohio State University study where they had married couples receive little tiny burn blisters, and on the first occasion they got their blisters, they were instructed to talk to each other supportively and lovingly for moments. And during the second visit, they were instructed to air all of their grievances with each other. Well, during the first visit, their blisters healed very quickly. And during the second visit, the blisters took a day or longer to heal, and especially longer for couples who had a lot of grievances, who were very angry with each other. So love can heal wounds, but giving love brings a better outcome in terms of healing, or being willing to give love brings a better outcome than being willing to give, resentment, grievances, anger, frustration, rage. Giving touch, and there is an on-off switch for the adrenal gland, it creates adrenaline, fight or fight. It creates also a stress hormone called cortisol. And giving a massage to somebody can help lower your own cortisol level. So, for example, and it could just be, you could be petting a dog or a cat, but if there's a person who could use a massage, they find that the cortisol level of the giver of the massage is greatly reduced, as well as anxiety and depression will also drop. So if you are not a creep and you're not you're going to give somebody a nice massage, that's good for you. It's good for the person, probably, as long as they would like one, but it's also good for you. Giving in general to people who really need it, your blood pressure is going to go down. Your heart is going to thank you for giving. Giving at the holiday season, it can create peace, calm, better sleep, all of those wonderful things. So healthy giving is good. Giving to takers, No. It is a road to physical, financial, mental, and emotional ruination. So all you empaths out there, take stock. Who are you giving to? Do they deserve it? Is it really taxing you? And if it's really taxing you, it may be time to get yourself free of a codependent relationship, which is not good. Now, other thing about this holiday, forgiving. Oh my goodness. And this gets back into, I'm going to go back into the paranormal for a bit. For those of us who have worked with spirits who just refuse to cross, they are not going to go to the other side. They're going to hang out on Earth. Because why? Well, in most of the cases that I've seen, if the spirit has not already done its life review and decided to come back for its own darn reasons, oftentimes the spirit involved has somebody that they won't forgive. And that somebody that they won't forgive could be themselves, or they don't believe, or they won't forgive God. They have such a strong belief in God that God, made them have a crappy life and they were blaming God for it. So they're going to hang out because they don't want to go have their life review. They don't want to go stand in front of St. Peter. Whatever their religious belief system was, if there's any lack of forgiveness, if there's any vengeance, oh my goodness, if you talk to some ghosts who are hanging out, it's because they think they are irredeemable souls. And if they get others to hang out with them, and James has talked about this in one of their sites up there in Canada where the priest was abusing children and has told the children that they can't leave because they'll get in trouble when they go to the other side. Lack of forgiveness, judgment. Oh my goodness. It's amazing. So the first time that I was called out to help move a ghost along, and this was a ghost who was actually physically presencing to a woman and making her quite upset, it ended up that the ghost had hung around because he was mad with God and could not forgive God for the life that he had lived. And what had happened with him is that he had suffered a deformity and he had suffered smallpox. And this was in the Midland to late 1800s. And he was in New Mexico. And he fell in love with one of the most beautiful women in the small town that he was from. And she, of course, ended up marrying the rich rancher who had most of the land. And he was just a nothing, It looked as if he had cerebral palsy, so he tended to limp. And he had one hand that didn't quite work. And he also had scars from smallpox. So he, he had a rough road to hoe in the life, and the woman that he was in love with wouldn't even look at him and consider him. And he didn't have any money. So what he ended up doing was odd jobs and drinking and being cynical and drunk until he hung himself. And he hung himself at the property that this woman that called me in and her family lived at. So basically he committed suicide out of looking at his life and thinking he had nothing to live for, and that he had truly been, he had basically a Job's life. Well, what happened is, he had taken the Lord's name in vain a lot when he was alive. So he thought that he and God were on the outs together with each other. He didn't understand that there was this forgiveness that was available to everybody and that he would be, perceived and welcomed to the other side with love and compassion. So he ended up hanging out for a little over 100 years until the woman who called me in, who was also an intuitive, who could actually physically see him, and he tended to stalk her because she was pretty, until she said, "Hey, I think we need to move this guy along. I'm not sure what's going on with him." So we went in. I went in with another person, an Apache medicine man, and we did a ritual and opened up a portal to the other side and had angelic hosts come and take him to the other side. But first we let him tell his story. You know, who are you? How do we find you? What's your name? What can you tell us about why you're here and why you haven't moved on? And he was more than willing and really wanted to have a hearing of his story. But it was a story of unforgiveness. He did not forgive God for giving him the life that he had. He did not think that his life was worthwhile. He didn't get the things that he wanted to have, and so he was mad. So he was angry. And that was, you know, that was why he was a ghost, was lack of forgiveness. Also lack of thanksgiving, which we talked about last week, not seeing what he had that was positive. Now, granted, I could see, because I was looking at him and what he looked at, you know, that would be a hard life to live. But he also wasn't thankful for what he did have. He had a pretty bad attitude about it, and he was drinking most of the time. So, important things for paranormal researchers, psychics, mediums, intuitives. Remember forgiveness. Remember that oftentimes, or sometimes it'll be something completely different. I had a ghost who was into Emerson, and he thought that he should just be able to transcend everything from being an earthbound spirit. So that had nothing to do with forgiveness. That just had to do with his own ideology. He was into transcendentalism. He thought he could just hang out and transcend, and he found himself hanging out for a long time. But in any case, forgiveness, it's very, very important. And it's part of the Lord's Prayer, which you can use to clear. Please forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Forgiveness does not mean that you condone whatever it is the person did, especially if it's something quite heinous, or especially if they're a repeat offender. It doesn't mean that you're saying, yeah, okay, I'm just going to pretend that you didn't do this and you're not going to do it again. Forgiveness does not mean that you chop off your sense, and you forget, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. Remember, fool me twice, shame on me. But forgiveness can mean that you're not holding any vengeance or grudges or resentments against the person, and you can do whatever you need to do to make sure that you're protected if this person is a serial offender, right? So if the person keeps asking you for money and not paying you back, for example, if the person asks you to do work for them and they say they pay you and they don't pay you multiple times, if the person, every time you see them, ends up being mean to you or shaming or humiliating to you in some way, again and again and again, protect yourself. Don't hang out with that person. Don't give them money. Don't do work for them. But forgive them what they have already done. And what this will do for you in terms of the spiritual life, what it does is you're not creating karma. When you forgive somebody for their trespasses against you in this lifetime, you don't leave a karmic deficit for them to have to make up next lifetime with you taking something for them, for example. And what people don't understand about karma, and Edgar Cayce really understood karma. Karma is memory and desire, and it's hand over hand. It's yin over yang. It's when you have a memory or a desire, dang, I wish that person would have paid me for that week's work I did for them. Now I'm out $700 and I can't make my car payment. I had that happen to me. And I tried to collect the debt, and I really needed the money, and it got me sore into trouble not getting it. And I was pissed. I was really pissed. But then I realized, especially when this was a person who lied about why they didn't pay me. This was a person who went on vacation. I took care of her animals, and she didn't leave me enough medicine for the time she was gone, and she said, don't worry about it, I'll get medicine when I get back. And then she said she couldn't pay me because I didn't give the dogs their medicine. Well, she didn't leave me the medicine to give the dogs. So she made it appear I didn't do something, which is actually something she didn't do, which was provide me with the medicine to give the dogs. So, you know, it was like, ah! And then I realized that I was so aggravated, and I had made this missing financial, this financial crisis. For me, $700 is a crisis. I had made it into such a big thing that I was really creating karma out of my anger, frustration, and rage, and my just, inability to do anything about this person, just stealing from me, stealing my time, stealing my effort, stealing. So finally I realized I never wanted to have to see her again. I didn't want to have this, I didn't want to be involved again and again and back and forth in the next lifetime and the time after that or a time after that or sometime later. I didn't want to feel the way I was feeling. I didn't want to have that kind of knife twisting in the gut when I thought of her. I didn't want to have anything that I was holding on to that made me feel as bad as I was feeling when I would think about the fact that this person just refused to pay me for a week's worth of work. Or actually, it was a little more than that. And it was like 15 days. So it ended up that I forgave her utterly and completely of the debt. That I just completely said, you know what? I'm going to forgive this debt utterly and completely. Because why? Because it makes me feel better. Because I'm not creating any energy of desire, any anger, frustration, and rage. I'm not allowing her to have negative control over the way I feel about my life and my situation. And I'm also not allowing this to create future karma at some point down the road with this person. I would rather just let this person go and move on and go be in their own sphere of reality, which has nothing to do with me. So that was it. That was the first time that I pulled out a kind of radical forgiveness. No, I didn't take her to small claims court. No, I didn't stick up for myself that way. It was the first time she'd done anything like that. So, but it helped me significantly get through what I needed to get through the rest of that year, which was challenging. And I feel quite sure that I will not have to, in some future lifetime at some other stage of the game, go through any sort of karmic repayal or repayment with this person, because I don't have any memory. I'm not holding on to that memory. I'm not holding on to that desire that she should somehow have to pay, or I should somehow exact that payment from her in some ways, or in a way, any way that's possible. So forgiveness, first of all, it stops you from creating karma. If you unconditionally forgive someone, you're not hanging on to anger, frustration, and rage. You're not hanging on to a memory or a desire that somebody should have done something toward you or shouldn't have done something toward you, and you're going to come back at another time and unconsciously try to work it out again. Now, some people don't believe in past lives or future lives. I really do. So for me, this is unconditional forgiveness is really important, because I am ending the karmic cycle when I practice unconditional forgiveness. If you practice unconditional forgiveness, another thing that tends to happen physiologically is you also tend to heal faster when you're wounded. You tend to have a greater immune system response. Unconditional forgiveness gives you a potential to have a much longer lifespan. If you practice conditional forgiveness, in other words, people you can only forgive people if they say they're sorry first or promise not to do what they did before again. You may be likely to die earlier. You're probably not going to heal as fast, and you don't get the immune response. So a conditional forgiveness is not really a forgiveness. It means you're still holding on to the fact that they have to admit that they did you wrong, and they have to admit that they are sorry for that, and they have to admit that they will not do you wrong again. The fact of the matter is, a lot of times you are not going to get that from very many people. You are not going to get people making amends, as many as you would think should, because it's not as important to people, or they don't understand the power of making amends. Now, making amends is important for people who forgive as much as it is practicing unconditional forgiveness. So, for example, if you have done somebody wrong, or they have felt slighted, or there was a misunderstanding, you standing up and making amends is more important for you, for your own forgiveness, for your own self-forgiveness, and also for not creating a karmic situation, than it is in expecting other people to do the same, to make amends. The only person that you have control over what you do, what they do, is you. You are the only person you have control over. So if making amends is good, and that's what's desired, you make amends if you have done somebody wrong, because A, you can do that. You have power. You have self-control. What was it in Timothy 1:5? God has given you not a soul of fear, but of power, love, and self-control. Make amends if amends are warranted. Does the same thing. Increases your immune function, allows you to sleep better, increases your lifespan, makes you feel better about yourself, gives you positive self-esteem when you make amends, when you've done something that you shouldn't have done, or you feel you've done something that you shouldn't have done. You shouldn't be apologizing all the time. That's not really good. But when you've really done something, make amends. All right, so not forgiving someone is associated with more anger, arousal, sadness, and feelings of not being in control. So basically, when you don't forgive someone, you are in some way allowing them to control your feelings. You are allowing them to plug in to where you can become anger, have arousal, be sad, feel like the world is crap. And also, by the same token, attract all sorts of beings into your space who love that sort of energy. All sorts of astral negative entities that can feed off of your arousal, your sadness, your anger, your not being in control. Look at you and say, ooh, lunch. In the paranormal, that's what you want to avoid, because you're going to be going to places where somebody already did that. And those beings, they be a multiplying in those places. So practicing unconditional forgiveness, cultivating it as a matter of course, keeps you clear, or helps keep you clear of these types of malicious, negative astral and spiritual entities. Because guess what? You're not angry, you're not frustrated, you're not upset, you're not sad, you're not feeling out of control. You're just showing up at the site where somebody was all of those things when they passed and they got stuck. So what you want to be is the person who's not stuck, showing up where the people were stuck and helping them get unstuck, versus becoming stuck because you went there and you hadn't worked on keeping yourself unstuck first. That was a lot of stucks, and but I know some of you can understand that. But that's the importance of giving and forgiving. And let's see, health benefits from forgiving again are reducing anger, feelings of tension, depression, fatigue, sleeping better, immune system. And then the other thing is, forgive yourself if you are holding things against yourself, or you feel somebody has a right to hold something against you. A lot of people don't feel that they deserve to be forgiven. And that's another thing I see in some ghostly people, is that they feel that they've done something so heinous that they will never be forgiven, so they can't cross over to the other side because they're going to be sent straight to hell. Now, I don't have that belief in that kind of hell the way these ghostly people do. They grew up in the Victorian era or even before that time, and, there were all sorts of things that you could get sent to hell for. Well, they don't feel that they deserved to be forgiven, and they did feel that they deserved to feel bad, and they did feel that they could tell what their judgment would be. That was their belief system. So they're hanging out in between, not moving on and being stuck, simply because they don't feel that they deserve to be forgiven. If you've done something and you're trying to make amends, forgive yourself, because when it comes to going to the other side, you're going to be the one who is in the presence of your divine help, judging yourself. And, you're not necessarily going to be judged by others. And that's the thing that the ghostly people don't get, is that they, in a sense, by not moving on, are creating their own sort of hellish realm. That's a little more complicated than what I just said, but I do my best. All right. That's all I have to say. Giving and forgiveness. It's Christmas. That's what our religion is kind of based on, forgiveness. We had this great guy come. His name was Jesus Christ, if you're a Christian, and he gave his life so that we could all be forgiven. Well, whether you believe that story or don't believe that story, giving and forgiveness are mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, clearing-wise, where it's at for human beings. If we can give and if we can forgive, we are doing pretty dang well. And that being said, I'm wondering if James is around and you can see if there are any questions in the chat.
Oh, there's questions. I want to tell you, there are questions in the chat. Oh, no, they're not. We were debating various Old Testament and New Testament passages until I threw up my Romans 13 about submission to governing authorities. Let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. We used to always throw that one out, like if we got into a very, very Christian person, we were writing a ticket, and they were blowing a gasket, we'd just say, oh, you have a Bible? Romans 13? I'll be back here writing the ticket.
Yeah.
Oh, hold on. You mean all laws?
Render under Caesar. What is Caesar's or what the heck it was, and otherwise don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all good. Did anyone die?
Good.
No?
Yep.
Okay, move on. No, there. I think people were listening to you with a worm on their tongue, with bated breath. So
with a worm on their tongue. Were they all drinking mezcal or
mezcal? Yes. No, what is it?
Mezcal with a worm?
Yeah, I did get a bunch of people's names added to the SOR Space Travelers group on Facebook. So I believe that I may be the only one who can do that. I have no idea. But the system has been really slow here. We couldn't cut and paste from before, but we got Casey Russell in finally. We've been failing to add him to some of the chats on our Facebook page, chat room, SOR Space Travelers Club. And if you're out there listening, go Google that. No, don't Google it. Go search it on Facebook. If you are on Facebook, go to the SOR Space Travelers Club. Also, young lady here, the one I like to call Elizabeth, because that's what the name her parents gave her. If you go to, please go on to Facebook, go search Cosmic Passport on Spaced Out Radio, and you'll bounce into, actually, Cosmic Passport with Elizabeth Anglin. You'll bounce into her Facebook page. It's got a pretty picture of Elizabeth, or somebody who's meant to look like Elizabeth, and at a very young age. And Of course it's you. And a fine fractal picture there, and give her page a like. I think I've invited everybody from the Space Travelers page over there, so check your inboxes, your invites. This has only just come up because what we're doing is separating the Cosmic Passport side from the Spaced Out weekend, and the main reason is poor Elizabeth gets no press because the primary show, the 2-hour one, seemed to just blur over top of Elizabeth's topics. So now we're going to be splitting them up, so at least you know what Elizabeth is going to be talking about, and she will be pulling guests in from time to time. So and Cosmic Passport had been around longer than Spaced Out Radio, so we're kind of pushing that back. We're pushing that ship back out. So don't be surprised if you see it's not competing. But on the weekends, we'll be posting both of those in the areas that we do post these kind of things. So again, that's Cosmic Passport with Elizabeth Anglin. And of course, if you want to get a hold of Elizabeth any other time, please go to our website, elizabethanglin.com. Hold on. Do you have a Spirit for Peace website too?
I don't have Spirit for Peace. I have two emails, info@elizabethanglin.com and then Spirit for Peace at Hotmail. But the Hotmail, sometimes Hotmail gets booted to spam. So info@elizabethanglin is usually a good way to get a hold of me. And I will get my email from you there at Spirit for Peace at Hotmail too. So no matter which account I'm checking, I will get your email if you do info@elizabethanglin.com.
Sweet.
So yeah, Spirit for Peace was at one point I was thinking about doing a nonprofit where I'm getting people of different ethnicities and religions and backgrounds together who think they have an issue with each other, aren't in forgiveness, and have workshops where you put them together and help them realize that, wait, we don't really, as individuals have issues. It's all kind of stuff that somebody is making solid, significant, and real, and it really isn't. So Spirit for Peace was about coming to a place of peace. Someday, maybe when I become like Mother Teresa, I'll do that. But
you work on that.
Week.
Yeah, not this weekend. Not this week with the amount of wine I have in my fridge. No, Mother Teresa for me.
I don't have any wine in my fridge. The main critter I've been giving to is my cat, my poor hyperthyroidic cat who needs to be fed every hour. Oh my goodness. And then people coming in and various things. So what are you doing tonight? You have Christine Alexandria talking about angel communication coming up in a few minutes.
Yes.
What's going on there? What do you know about that?
I don't know. I'll have to ask her. Come on. If I knew all this stuff, I wouldn't have guests on. No. Christine is she's great. She is a Angel Intuitive. She's a writer. She's got her own Angel Chatter Oracle card deck. She makes jewelry. She does aromatherapy. Oh man, she does a lot of things. What was the other thing she was going to do? Soul coaching, crystal therapy, Reiki. She does it all, but what we're going to primarily talk about is what are angels? What are the communication? How does she communicate them? How does she talk? Oh
with
my
them.
Lord! Yes,
words angels are good.
Angels are good. Yes. And I'll ask her the silly questions that I usually ask, like what happens to after your meat sack dies, where do you go? And those kind of things. So we'll chat. We'll have the fireside chat. And then at the top of the next hour, it's our 7-minute stretch. And after that, we'll get into a little bit more on life, death, the universe. Some just basic, normal questions you'd probably talk about with somebody in line at at the grocery store when you're not talking politics.
Long line. Yeah.
Well, how do you feel? How do you feel about the forgiveness thing? I've been practicing forgiveness for a couple of years now, and things don't really bother me that much. When they do, it doesn't bother me as much as it used to. If you know what I mean by that. You're not poking the bear as much?
I've been practicing, in clearing work, there's always forgiveness. So the question when I'm not forgiving is, what am I making solid, significant, and real? So for me, it even goes beyond forgiveness to, wow, I'm really ticked, well, I'm really bugged, well, I'm really pissed off. And then instead of saying, this person did such and such and making it external, I re-internalize it into, what am I making solid, significant, and real? So because the only person I have any control over is me. I have a spirit of love, power, and self-control, not other control. So I am obviously making something solid, significant, and real. What is it? And when I can take sort of that sweater thread and pull it and say, wow, I'm making this thing over here really solid, significant, and real because that reminds me of the time that this thing happened and I didn't like that, and that thing happened and I didn't like that. And then there'll be like this whole slew of things I made solid, significant, and real, which I never really had to make solid, significant, and real. I never really had to get torqued out about them or angry or frustrated. But where I was in my consciousness at that time, I did. And then I can go back and forgive those things and also just say, well, you know what? That doesn't have to be solid, significant, and real. I can just kind of be like, duck water. I'm a duck. It's water. It's not really a big deal. And I feel a lot better. I don't, I wouldn't be called type A anymore, but I feel a lot better.
Hey, there's a question in from the chat room on Spreaker. I have forgiven, but people still want to keep up putting me 6 feet under. How many times should I forgive before I put their forgiveness 6 feet under? I don't know if that...
Don't understand what that means other than avoid those people.
Yeah, avoid the people.
Do not have it.
It sounds like somebody's trying to kill him. Put him 6 feet under. So someone's trying to kill him. How many times should I forgive before I put their forgiveness? Well, he's not really. Well, maybe he's going to kill them.
Yeah, that doesn't make it doesn't
make any sense. But it's basic.
Just avoid them. These are these are people. These are the things. It's like avoid them. Practice. Do what you need to do not to be in relationship with those people. And that is not condoning killing anybody. It means, in a healthy way, do what you need to do to end your association with those kinds of people. And so that could even, I ended an association with my mother when she was alive because she kept doing the same things over and over again. And she goes, well, you have to forgive me. And it was like, no, actually, I need to protect myself. So I do forgive you, but I'm also not picking up the phone.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. We're not going to go through that again. And that's one of the things that I preach when it comes to going through the forgiveness meditation and just bouncing those 3 words off. When it does hit, you don't seem to get angry anymore. The frustration with somebody being stupid or doing something stupid to you doesn't press those buttons all the way. The other thing is, and where was I going with that? The other thing is when it comes to other people, they just kind of fade out of your life. You attract more positive people as opposed to the negative ones, because for some reason the negative ones back away from you. Another question is...
It is very, very, very true. What he just said is very true. And when you truly have unconditionally forgiven someone, it's like you've learned the lesson of that energy, and then you move on into a more positive lesson. And it just evolves from there. And, as you become more and more positive, you learn more and more positive lessons. But unconditional forgiveness can start a positive possibility, new lessons that are more positive with people in relationship versus, oh my God, I'm learning this lesson again, and I hated it before when I did it with them, and now I'm doing it with this person. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and the other thing about learning lessons and forgiving doesn't mean when you forgive somebody, you've been kidnapped and sold to the crew of a Greek freighter, doesn't mean you don't remember the lessons you learned. You basically, you forgive the individual, but in a file folder, you keep all the information you learned up to that point, all the little indicators that this was coming. Now you're looking at it with hindsight, and then you file that into your little brain file system. And when those indicators start coming up again, you can pull that out and say, you know what, I'm not going down that path because last time Dinky Brain did this, and which led to me carrying a bunch of the crap. It's when we forgive somebody, we're putting the damage they did to us is no longer on us. It's back on them. We wipe our hands with it and walk away.
Yeah, and it doesn't even matter where it is. I mean, you can make it completely neutral. The fact of the matter is you wipe your hands of it and you walk away. What they do is their business. You walk away, and you're free. So,
about 4 minutes ago, when we were supposed to break to the other show...
Oh, shoot. All right, you guys. Well, it was nice talking to you. I'll see you tomorrow night. And about,
what are we talking about tomorrow night?
Yeah, we're doing Trading Places, but I'm also doing it from the Empath's Guide to Trading Places, which is bilocating into another person's situation while they're having it so that you can understand them better, which leads to compassion and forgiveness and all sorts of good stuff, as long as you, are willing to be open to that.
Oh, so I'm going to need beer for that.
You'll need beer for that one, and meditating beforehand would be good. And if you just want to take it at the face value, go watch the movie Trading Places, with Eddie Murphy, the original one. But this is more of the empaths, intuitives, trading places, and bilocating and, sharing somebody else's experience for a little bit.
Sweet. That's tomorrow night, Cosmic Passport with Elizabeth Anglin. Remember, go see her page on Facebook, Cosmic Passport with Elizabeth Anglin, and we're out of here for we're going to be out. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I would like to invite you to listen Monday through Friday right here on Spaced Out Radio. 3 hours a night of the top stories with the top guests, ranging topics from UFOs to ETs, ghosts to Sasquatch, and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on two mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. Two mediums and a large. Heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for news beyond the mainstream news? Head to spacedoutradio.com and check out the SOR Spacewire. This is Spaced Out Radio's Eric Markham, News Director for the SOR Spacewire. Daily, I will bring you intriguing stories and outlandish reports from what's going on around the world. UFO sightings, paranormal activity, conspiracies, alternative health, and so much more. And if you have news, email me at news@spacedoutradio.com.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners. For only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
It's time to go live on Spaced Out Weekend.
13, please. Oh, hi, Kevin. Oh, is that the time? Kevin, my friend, don't you find that watch just a little bit loud? Well, I certainly hope our buddy Bumblefoot is playing when we get there. Oh, you stinky big bundle of hair. I said Bumblefoot, not Bigfoot. Oh, it's going to be a long night.
It's time to head to the 13th floor of the old log cabin for Spaced Out Weekend with James Tyson. You can tweet James at James Tyson SOR. You can find him on Instagram, Spaced Out Weekend, as well as on Facebook. On YouTube, our channel is Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can check out our website, spacedoutradio.com.
Little brother has taken control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all connected but separated, misunderstood and so frustrated. A million armies of one have invaded, watching you and watching me. We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong. I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We'll expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere. Watch it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are through. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And now, perched high in his captain's chair, way above the clouds, here's James Tyson.
Thank you, Dave, and welcome everybody to Spaced Out Weekend. It is I, your host, James Tyson, speaking to you from the 13th floor of my little log cabin here in the paranormal portals of the lower left Canadian coast on Spaced Out Radio with the Spaced Out Radio Network. And I come to you every Saturday and Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. You can listen to Dave, like he said, Monday to Friday on Spaced Out Radio. And unfortunately, you're stuck with me on the weekends, which can be a good thing. It depends. Depends how you're going to get stuck with us. But it's fun here. It is fun. We do broadcast every night of the week, and we want to be your one-stop shop when it comes to the supernatural, paranormal, conspiracy, UFOs, spiritual, and much, much more. And our music is from the guitar god himself, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, formerly of Guns N' Roses, and it is the fantastic music, the official sound of Spaced Out Radio. At this time, we'd like to say hello to everyone taking part in our chat rooms on the Spaced Out Radio chat room here on Spreaker, along with our fans on Facebook at Euphoria Chronicles, Chronicles of the Unknown, Forest Moon Paranormal, and our flagship chat room on the SOR Space Travelers. Now, have you signed up for the SOR Space Travelers Club yet? It's $5 a month, and with that, you get your names entered into monthly prize draws for books and T-shirts and small engines. I don't know. We got so much stuff piled up here. It's going to take us years to get through sending this out to you. And it also gets you into our private chat group interviews where you can have a one-on-one interview with one of our guests. You get access to special sections of our websites and much, much more. And we're giving you a heck of a lot more than just access to our archives. And while at spacedoutradio.com, you can read our latest blogs and check out Eric Markham's SOR Space Wire for your latest in weird news. And you know Eric, he's all about weird news. We also have a new feature on our website. The SOR Sightlines and it's there for you, specifically for you experiencers. If you've had an experience and want it investigated by a researcher, Mike Smith, just fill out the Sightline report and we'll get back to you. And all information is 100% confidential. We also want to thank our new affiliate, United Public Radio Network at 107.7 FM in New Orleans, and their listeners from over 160 countries around the world. That's the entire world, primarily our planet Earth. I'm sure we have some other listeners out there. Well, I know we have a couple of ET listeners because we do talk to them once in a while. But tonight, we're not going to get into ETs tonight. With me tonight is actually a really cool person. And I say that because she and I go way back, almost 10, 15 minutes now. We have Christine Alexandria. Christine is a highly sought-after Angel Intuitive, award-winning inspirational author and founder of Angel Chatter. She is a creator of the popular Angel Chatter Oracle card deck. Now, to support empowering angels' messages beyond the deck, Christine developed angelic medallions, an aromatherapy line including candles, sacred misters, roll-ons, as well as workbook for those wishing to take the angelic knowledge deeper. Christine is also has a line of jewelry made in the USA, all born with the intention to inspire and empower the wearer. Christine is the author of Have You Ever Wondered About Angels?, which was the recipient of the 2013 Mom's Choice Award for Bedtime Stories. Her latest book, Askformations, Earth Dancer, and a Find Horn Press imprint in March 2016, is an inspirational gift book that makes affirmations more effective by using powerful questions. Christine is sought after for inspirational speaking, intuitive angelic reading, healing, and coaching services. She is certified in a variety of healing modalities, including Reiki, crystal therapy, soul coaching with Denise Lynn, and Archangel and Enlightenment therapy. I could ask you about that because I have an archangel. I have two archangels looking over my shoulder constantly, and many more. And now you can always vision her website, and I would like you to do that now while you're listening to the show. It's angelchatter.com. Again, that's angelchatter.com. And please join her in her sacred space on Facebook in Angel Chatter. So just go up to the search engine on Facebook, put in there Angel Chatter, and you'll get to her sacred space there. And before I forget that she's actually on the show, Christine, come on in.
Hello, James.
Hello, young lady.
How are you, young sir?
I am adequate, completely adequate.
Very adequate.
I'm not going to skip right to the archangel portion, even though I'm terribly interested in that. Is this something, the angel communication, being able to communicate or having intuition that connects you with angels, Is this something that happened, when you were a little tyke, or is it something that came on a bit later in life?
Well, honestly, it's a little bit of both, because apparently I've been intuitive or chatting with them my entire life, but, it's just kind of weird, according to the rest of the world out there, to talk with angels. It's just not your normal accountant or, Canadian Mountie. It's just on the unusual side. So I remember when I was about 6 or 7, I was up in my bedroom, I was playing with some friends, and I said something, and they said something, and I said, I know. And they go, well, how do you know? And in that minute, bam, everything just completely shut down. It's like, I'm weird. And it wasn't until I got married and we had kids and all of that I said, I can't be everywhere. And the angels, I could see them doing this dope face hand slap to their forehead and going, she's finally going to talk to us again. Yay. And I had a phone reading actually, years later into this when I started to explore. And because it's something that's always intrigued me, psychics and, how to, the intuition, ESP. And so the woman calls in a variety of ascended masters and some angels. And one of the angels she calls in is Archangel Ariel. And before I could monitor what I was going to say, because, we like to be polite amongst people we don't know, I yell out, Pinky! But I did it really, really loud, James. And I don't remember anything else about that whole reading except that event. So my husband's traveling that night, or that time. I go to bed and I said, okay, everybody that was at this reading, front and center now. So Ariel now comes back in, but this time I'm expecting her. And I stopped and I went, it's you. Because as a little girl in the crib, I didn't know the name Ariel, but she resonates the color pink. So I gave her the name of Pinky.
Oh, I see. She's a mermaid,
so that
right?
confirmed to me that I've been kind of doing this for a long time, but I just didn't know it.
Wow. Yeah, we do have, as a paranormal investigator, I was just talking to somebody who's having visitors for a child in the crib. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was fascinating to me. And it kind of gave me a little bit of, it's okay, you're not going wacky, kind of a situation. And I just started building little at a time. And one thing's just gone into another. I was just talking with a client before our show tonight about a precognitive dream she has had. And, just we're just putting all the ducks in the row because it's one of those situations you're not sure if it could happen, but trying to avoid the situation. So it's always very interesting on how the messages come in.
How did the messages come in to you? I'm sorry, I was going to ask you a question too. Back when you were in the crib, how did the message come to you? That was almost 25 years ago. Let me go back on that. But
yeah, a little more than that.
65 years ago. So when you did get communication, as far back as you can remember, what form of communication was it?
I'm more of a little Miss Know-It-All. I just know stuff. I will get sent periodically, but it's usually because I'm not listening to whatever it is that they want to say, or there's something special or someone special that just wants to let me know that they're there. So scent is not one of my strengths. So if I smell something, it really gets my attention. I'll also see that whole movie thing going on in your forehead. So it looks like this whole big old movie's going on in your mind. So that's my second strength, but it's usually, I just know. It's just like, you hear that gut feeling. Oh yeah, I got a gut feeling on that. So it's that kind of thing.
Could you describe for me when you talk about the movie thing in your forehead? I've heard that before, but it really never drilled down into it. I get my information, like when I'm reading cards for somebody, it's really hard to separate or be confident enough to separate. Is it am I thinking that, or is that information I'm getting? And
that's really, really, really good example. So we do a lot of metaphysical shows in the region. We'll go as far west as Chicago and travel from there east. And at the shows, I do readings for 20 minutes, so I call them the quick and dirty. And if I get this quote idea, but I can't get past it, I know it's them. And sometimes they're just so far out in left field, and it makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. And I'll say, don't shoot the messenger. I don't understand this, and they'll look at me most of the time. Their mouth drops and they go, oh my God, that is so spot on. I'm like, okay then. And so it's, for me, and I still do, we're human. We've got that thing called ego that leaves us wondering, are we making this crap up, or is it my intuition? And I think anybody that is in the area of what we do has to admit that. I would be really surprised if someone says, no, I'm so confident, and really believes it. So, I still wonder sometimes, because sometimes it's just like, because I have a client, I've had her for years, and she knows I can't stand doing timelines. And she'll go, Christine, I want you to go out on a limb for me today. I'm like, oh, I hate that, because you don't know. Time is such an illusion. So, but I'll do it. And it's kind of crazy on how it unfolds, and I'll get feedback, or I'll, from a variety of clients. You told me that would happen. And honestly, I'll go, I did? Because once the reading's over, I don't remember anything.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
It's great, though. Can you imagine carrying around all that information all the time about everybody you've ever read? I go nuts.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and that's what I try to get people to record. Audio record this. Don't ask me a question. Don't phone me back tomorrow and say, hey, remember when you flipped that card over, you said...
Actually, no, I don't.
No. Yeah, it's plausible denial.
Yes, exactly. So it's wonderful. Yes, I always cut cords after every client for that very reason, especially when we do the shows. We did 2 shows back to back just recently, and one weekend I did 30 readings. The next weekend I did 32. And yeah, by the end of the day, I'm tired, but it's still coming in really clear, because after every client, there is some cord cutting going on. So I'm no longer engaged with them, and I can focus on whoever's sitting across from me. So you don't know. You don't know if you're making it up until you just start getting, speaking from my experience, until you start getting that feedback. Okay, I hope, because me, I'm the firstborn, so there's that perfectionist. I'm the firstborn of firstborn, so there's that little bit of a perfectionist thing going on. Plus, Mary Poppins is my hero. So I've got that practically perfect thing going on too, which is a gift and a curse. So I want to do right by my clients. I want to do right by my customers. So there's that really that yearning to help them as much as possible. So I do question sometimes when it's out, geez, I hope that was the right, because there's a couple that will, that'll stick around for a bit, or they'll give me a feedback. Hey, you said that and I did this. But then I think it was earlier today, a client that it seems like I've known her forever, but she posted on the Facebook group that if it wasn't for us meeting about a year ago, she would still be wondering what it is she's to be doing. And she's, it's just dynamite on what and how her life is just all of a sudden taking off, because she's finally said yes to her gifts. And that is the really cool thing. When you see your customers and clients doing what they really want to do, it's like, give me a high five. It's just amazing. And that's what gets me going.
Now, for the movie in the forehead, is that kind of what some people call a third eye info?
Yeah, well, our third eye is up and right smack dab in the middle of your forehead. So, for me, it's like, your forehead's probably the biggest movie screen you could have physically. within that brain area where you can visually see things. So it kind of goes on up there. And, sometimes it projects out, but I don't, my gift is not sight where I literally see beings. I sense their energy. And if I look off, I can describe what the energy or what they look like or what it looks like, but I still don't literally see them. But it goes, so the movie screen for me goes on inside the head, but then it does seem to transfer out depending what we're talking about at the moment.
Are your eyes open when you see this?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it's fascinating to me because I've been trying to do the third eye activation, and it opened once, and I got tons of information that I had to quickly write down, and it's all a code to me. All these, I wrote down all the images, and they've yet to mean anything to me. So baby steps.
That's the really cool thing, because my card deck was my first product, and that's 5 years old now, I think it is. And I channeled the deck and guidebook, which I can now say channeled. I had no idea what I was doing. They basically said, sit your fanny down and type. Of course, this is after me arguing with them for 2 years of who was I to write an oracle card deck? Because, there certainly are enough of them out there. And I did the deck and guidebook, and then it got to, because the reasoning of them wanting me to do a deck. And I said, why did we need another deck? There's so many decks out there. And they go, they're beautiful. And I'm like, yeah, they're supposed to be beautiful. They go, no. Think about, your clients. Are they starting to pay more attention to the illustration and its meaning and not our message? And I went, oh, okay, you got me. So the illustration for my deck had to be very simple. So we tried a few things, and at best it looked like a preschooler did it. It was pretty bad. And I put it aside for over a year thinking, okay, you guys will eventually give it to me. And then somebody said, what about symbols? I thought, well, that's a cool idea. So just like you're talking, James, these symbols, the angels, because they always kind of collectively talk to me. They will come, separate themselves from the gang, as I call them, depending on the situation. So this was one of those situations. They stepped forward one at a time and gave me a symbol that strengthens your connection with them. Again, okay. I'm a trusting soul, so I just drew them. And it wasn't until I was working on my third book, which is coming out in about a year's time, that I started really getting into the symbols. I mean, I knew they were powerful because I would see, again, at these shows, people are transmitting the energy between each person. They go, what card am I holding? And they would hold it up and put their hand out, and they go, oh, that's Michael, because I see his sword. And I'm watching this going, oh, this is kind of cool. And they're doing it with a bunch of other of the angels. And then I never see these people again. So it wasn't like they came back and they were playing. They just kind of came in, I saw it, and then they'd left. So it was when I was working on, like I said, this third book, I started playing with the symbols more in depth. And why do they connect with Raphael? And why does the symbol look like this? That I realized it's a sigil. And I had heard that term before, S-I-G-I-L. And I'm just thinking, it's a symbol. And I finally realized it was one of those little dope slaps, that a symbol is like a stop sign. It's a stop. A dove is a symbol because it means peace. A sigil is a symbol that has power behind it. So it's an empowering symbol. And that's what these are. And I'm pretty sure that's what you're getting. You're getting sigils. You're getting angelic language, or certainly otherworldly language, that when you will take the time to set aside again, you're going to get more insight on what these all mean for you.
My very first deck was Archangel Michael.
Big Mike.
And because I was told he and Heniel are the two archangels that are very strong in me. And I couldn't read it because my boy left brain, as soon as I looked at the picture, I focused on a guy with a sword with a cloud behind him and all these other things. And I wasn't getting a message. I was completely focused on the picture. So I used a friend of mine's deck, and they're all fractals. They're just images of colors.
Nice.
And so I tried those, and I went, oh, now I get it. Because now I was getting something.
Right.
It wasn't, it was getting past my silliness of seeing a picture and concentrating on a picture and wondering what that picture meant. It just was an image. And that image, if I pulled that card for you, it may mean something completely different than when I pull it for somebody else.
Exactly. And that's when we use tools like that don't have, like, I have a bunch of crystals on my desk right now, and they're beautiful. But there's not you can see things in a crystal, but when you just sit with the energy, you can get different messages.
Yes. Yeah. I found that I could take a regular deck of playing cards and do a reading with those too. Oh,
how cool is that? I haven't tried that yet.
Just by flipping the card and looking at it, and I'll get a reading. Well, do you ever do the thing where you flip the card and you look at it, then you put it back, you flip it back over, you take a breath and flip it over again?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, good. I thought it was just me. It's like, okay, I was getting something, and then I farted, or I don't know, I had a different thought, and then, so I got to start again. So it's like, put it back down, flip it over again, and go, oh, that's what it was.
Now,
it was like rewinding it.
Yes, exactly.
It's, I think mine were, the Destiny cards or something like that. I can't remember what they are, but they're, I've seen they're fractal-y kind of things.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know the ones you're talking about.
Yeah, they're just strictly weird looking. It was Cheryl Lee Harnish. Now I remember the name.
Yes.
Okay, her cards, and but I now use the Michael cards. If you have a question, a specific question, and I'll just say, just pull one or two cards, and we'll go from there. But it takes me a while to kind of go through those. And the other thing, like, I know you wrote, this is what you tell a person who actually designs their own cards. The book that goes along with it, I was told to throw away. So it's like, here's the book, don't read it. What? But the lady put a book in it. There must be a reason. No, don't read it.
For you don't need it, though.
That's what I was told, yeah.
Yeah. The guidebook is there to give additional meanings. So, like, I do a daily channeled message. Well, okay, not every day, but most days, Monday through Friday, and then sometimes Saturday. And I'm trying to behave, and I take Sundays off. I just disengage a little bit. And initially, so this is how we grow. Initially, I would only focus, of course, I'm using my cards. I'm looking at the message on the card and reading it and retyping it. It's like they can't read it anyway. So now everybody's reading it twice. But now I go through my files, my computer files. What's the message for today? And half the time I'm doing this before I've had my coffee in the morning. So those of you that know me know coffee is pretty much a big deal in my life. So I'm looking at this file, and then a card will just kind of pulsate or glow. It does all sorts of little things to get my attention. Plop that in, download it to my group first, and then this little channeled message will come through. And it's lovely to see how it does affect people, because I'll usually get a couple dozen people throughout the various groups I share on how it affects them that day. So it's kind of cool.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why the guidebook for you doesn't pertain anymore, because you see the message. It's a guide. It's a suggestion. So when I do readings, very much the same thing. The cards don't come out until the very end. So I don't read the cards for your reading. We talk, just like we're talking now, and then the cards come out at the end.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's really kind of cool because a lot of times I have a 6-card spread that they gave me when I did the whole little project. So that's the one. I'm a good doobie, so that's the one I'll continue to use until they give me another one.
I didn't know what kind of spread to use, so I thought, okay. Someone said how many cards I put down, and I was about to say 5, but the word 7 came out of my mouth. So I thought, okay, it's 7. And it's been 7 ever since. I have no idea why I said 7, but it's the 7th card. And the first 2 cards are, and I think this was to teach me, one was about last week, the next one is about today, and then the rest are kind of what's coming up.
Oh, very cool.
So the first 2 are affirmation, like, does this resonate with, I'll say, this is what your week was like. How does this resonate with you? And, I've had people saying, yeah, kind of close, or burst into tears. You have those 2 different things. And a couple of times I've had animals come through on the second card. Like your cat that had passed coming through with information on your present cat. Saying it's not feeling well, it's doing this, and that was
pretty amazing.
Yeah, and when it first came through, I had no idea. And then somebody said, "Oh, you're an animal communicator," and I said, "No, I'm not." And then I said, "No, you talked to a cat, didn't you?" "Oh, crap! Yeah, I guess I am."
Oh, yeah. I didn't think about it that way. It's like me when I said I channeled the deck. It took me like 4 years to use that word.
Channel, yeah.
Because someone finally pointed out the obvious. Because I'm saying, I wrote the deck and guidebook in 2 weeks, and they looked at me, so you channeled it. And I looked at them, I went, yeah, I guess I did. Never really thought about it that way. But yeah, I guess I did.
Yeah, it's friends of mine have channeled books. Little Akiane Krameric, who paints those gorgeous pictures. She did one of the prints. I don't know if you're familiar with her. Looked a big portrait of Jesus when she was 8.
Yes.
Yeah. I when I interviewed her, I said, "What's it like to paint that? Like, was it hard?" She says, "I don't know. I just zoned out."
Yeah, exactly.
And 19 hours later, it was there. And I thought, oh, that's called channeling.
Yeah. It's very cool. A colleague of mine who's a musician but doesn't play piano. Apparently he shared on Facebook, and then he edited it and he tagged me in it to make sure I saw it. He says, "I don't play the piano," but that's the entire recording. It's him playing the piano, and it's beautiful.
Oh, wow!
So it's mind blowing what's going on right now.
Yeah, and when you say what's going on right now, when was it you noticed the shift?
There have been waves, certainly. Things have gotten very heightened. So 2016, so we're still in it, is the year of transparency. So the energy was primed for you to step more into your power, to be more authentic, for you to see the truth of any situation and not get sucked into it via ego/fear. So there was a huge shift this year. And we're in the last month of 2016. And so we're already definitely shifting energetically to 2017. And I've told, all of my clients, this last quarter sets the stage for not only 2017, but in many ways the rest of your life. So there's been like one big shift after another. This year specifically, we moved, and it's just been nonstop ever since we moved. And I witness it with my clients, with my customers, with my lovely, amazing people in the Facebook group on how much they're growing and becoming more confident and secure with this year was big for those that simply said yes and kept stepping forward. It's scary. It's kind of scary, becoming more empowered. It's kind of scary going out on that limb and sharing who you are. no matter what it is that you do, but especially if you're in the woo-woo world, and to see people doing that, it's just a beautiful thing. It's just a really, really beautiful thing.
Yeah, mine hit in 2012 and completely turned my life upside down.
Yeah, that was probably right after, I really started coming out of the closet, so to speak, because for years, James, people, my husband's an executive by nature, he works at big companies and stuff. So I'm the corporate wife, and we would go to these cocktail parties, and, people always ask you, what do you do? We really don't care, but we don't know what else to say. Yeah. What do you do? So I pulled on my big girl pants and I talk with angels, and I would get this look of the deer in the headlights, and they would look at their wrist with a watch or no watch, and they would go, oh, my husband's calling me, I gotta go.
I have a thing, I gotta go do a thing.
Yeah, it's called Get Away From You. So it wasn't very affirming for many years to share who I am. And, and I did diversionary tactics. I would get the question, I go, isn't this a great party? Or, wow, look at that painting. Or, do you enjoy your drink? I would try everything to take the spotlight off of me. So I would have to agree with you. It was about 2012. Because it was even after my card deck came out, but I'm doing this major hiding dance, and I'm not telling people what I do, or certainly not comfortably. And it was about that time I started. The door finally I was out, the door was shut. There was no going back anymore.
Wow.
And I'm really glad. And it was still scary, and I was still very quiet, but little at a time. And you've seen it, I'm sure, with what you do and how you are. Little at a time, you get that much more comfortable with it and that much more comfortable with it. So it's, and depending on who you're hanging out with, you can go out and be a little spaced out sometimes, but you're having fun because you're in that environment where you feel safe to be really, really you.
Yes. I went to a spiritualist church. The lady who ran the thing, extremely highly respected, intuitive. When she found out, when I was introduced to her again, and she found out, I said, yeah, I'm reading oracle cards now. And she just looked at me and said, oracle cards are a crutch for you.
Yeah.
And I looked at her and said, I'm still not confident with cards. Don't do that. And she smiled and says, yeah, just so you know.
Just so you know.
And now
you don't need them.
I've been running into people, and I can look at them and then start telling them all about themselves and actually doing readings. But that scares me because for a number of reasons, I ask them first, if you don't mind. They're usually friends of mine, or acquaintances, or new friends. And then I'm worried that, am I walking around open all the time? And if I'm walking around open and I ascend to the next level, I don't want to be walking around open because I don't want to be bumping into things that,
you don't want to know about.
Exist here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but I've seen some of those things, and it's really not pretty. But like you said a little while ago, your two big buds are Michael and Haniel.
Yeah.
It's got a pretty dynamic duo going on there, So you've got Big Mike. He's all about protection. And just keep calling on him. Your intuition will open as you are ready to really handle it and master it, because it's going to continue opening for you.
Okay. Yeah, I heard next fall, in another year, it's going to...
really open.
Yeah, I've been saying, I want to do this, I want to connect, I'm doing paranormal investigations, I want to be able to see these things, and I've been told that it's like, no, you're not ready for that. If it all switched on right now, I'd poop myself.
You probably would. Because like I said, I saw a couple of times, and it really, really scared me. So I acknowledge that whole area exists. You can't see my face, but I'm making big faces. that ugly stuff does exist because there is balance. It's not just love and light. There is a balance.
Ooh, I'm going to come back. I'm making a note of this, Christine, and we're going to come back to this. What is on the other side of the what balances love and light? We'll come back.
Okay.
But I need to know, because it was one of the questions that I've written down here. With angels and your communication with them, how have they influenced your life, and how do they influence your life on a day-to-day basis?
We only have 2 hours.
Okay.
They have influenced everything. Everything, especially now that I fully acknowledge them. It's everything that I do. My energy, I will watch what my body energy says, and they will wing slap me, which is the angelic version of a dope slap, and say, no, you need to take it easy today. No, you need to do this. And I may have a list of things I want to get done on any daily basis. I don't know why I bother writing them down, because it always goes off sometimes in a completely different direction. My sister, who also owns her own business, completely different kind of business, and she lives on the West Coast, so we don't get together that often. But when we do, we will have working, we'll both be working, and the beauty of laptops, we can be in the same room. And she'll start laughing at some point. I said, what? She goes, you really can't sit still. I said, no, I finish one project, and away from me to process it and disengage, I go and do something. It may be go washing dishes or going out in the garden and pulling weeds for half an hour, but then I can come back to my next project completely refreshed, and I can refocus. And she goes, sure. So it's everything. My husband still says I did a bait and switch because I was not talking about this. And he even asked my parents as recent as last weekend, he says, did you know she could talk to angels growing up? And my mom just looked at him and just kind of smiled, and my dad just rolls his eyes. Because it does. It's in our family. And on
your mom's side or both?
Actually, both sides. My dad's family would totally disagree with that. But my grandfather, my dad's dad, when he retired, very intelligent man, but because of the time, the Great Depression and all of that, he never went to college. Very, very smart man, self-taught. Mm-hmm. So when he retired, we have hundreds of these literally scattered throughout the family. They look like what I would remember as a spirograph sketch, what you and I would call sacred geometry. And he's making these designs by using mathematical equations.
Smarty pants.
I know. And gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous things. But it's sacred geometry. One of my dreams on my to-do list is to take my favorites and get them copied and printed and then sell to go into a charitable fund for scholarships for high school kids. So that's on my list. You can call me on that in about a year or two. I think I'll be able to do it by then. And I wanted to get it done before he died, and then I wanted to get it done before Grandma died, and now I wanted to get it done before I die. So it eventually will get done. And my dad is the same kind of thing. Very, very smart man. He developed formulas for chemical engineering when he was in college that they still teach. But yet he has this very deep spiritual side to him that he doesn't talk about because, again, that's how he was raised.
Yeah.
My mom's side of the family, her paternal grandmother would have very precognitive dreams that, of course, very Catholic. You don't talk about such things.
No. Demons.
Exactly. So it's there on both sides. I'm the first one that's coming out and saying, yeah, this is who we are and this is what I do. Okay. So it's been very fun kind of messing with my family's head at the same time. But I love it. I love what I do. Yeah. And it serves all of us. There are 3 siblings, a brother and a sister and I. And even though we do completely different work and we're completely scattered across the globe, that intuitive side kicks in often for all three of us.
Okay. That's one of the things that I was wondering too, is that it not only it comes down from the pre family, your parents, mm-hmm. Has it come into, have you noticed it in your children at all?
Oh gosh, yeah. I feel like I'm a total fake compared to them sometimes. They're amazing. They're amazing, amazing young women. And, from the early on, I remember our eldest at one point, my great grandmother, I had one that I remembered. She was still alive for many years, and our children met her. She skips on over. My husband's mom skips on over. My fun way to say they died. And we're sitting down, and I had a Siamese cat, and we're sitting down, and she goes, "Mommy." I said, "What?" She goes, "Bubby's here." I went, "Oh, really?" Because we were in church at the time. I go, "Oh, really?" And Bubby is Jewish, and so did not get the Catholic thing at the time. And she goes, "Yeah." And Bob, she's here. And there was a space between her and I. And she goes, "And Kringle's laying on your lap." And that was my cat. And she's seeing them. And I'm going, "What's Bubby doing?" She goes, "Oh, she's just kind of walking around checking things out. She's really curious." I'm like, that's really cool. So, and it's because of her, my business is called Angel Chatter.
Oh.
Because I'm grappling, trying to find my business name and who am I and why am I here to do? And I'm doing this whole big drama thing and has to be the right name. And she looked at me and she rolled her eyes, as teenagers will. And she's like, "Mom, you chat with angels. Your business name is Angel Chatter." And I stopped and I looked at her, my mouth dropped, and I went, "I love it. It's quirky. It's fun. It's me." She goes, "Thanks. You're welcome." And she walks away, comes back 10 minutes later. "Here's your logo." And it's still using it now.
That is good.
It's very cool. And then our youngest is just as amazing and gifted. And she takes her spirituality more in the artistic arena where she draws. Mm-hmm. And she, without anything more than high school art class, which I don't know how they are in Canada, but here you can have some great teachers. I don't mean to diss art teachers, but she did not get intensive training in art by any means. But the stuff she can do, it's mind-blowing.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know back when I was taking art here, I can draw pretty well. And I always got bad marks because my teacher would want me to draw a house at the day that I wanted to draw a tree. So I just quickly draw this little house and hand it in because I wasn't into it. What is the difference between our spirit guides and angels?
Ooh, good question. So spirit guides are those that have crossed over. So White Buffalo Woman is one of my spirit guides. She is not of the angelic. My grandfather, my grandmothers are some of my spirit guides. They were human. And angels, we do not become angels. There are many say, "Oh," and we'll use that term, and I don't correct people. "Oh, they got their wings today," because it gives us as humans comfort.
Yeah.
That, right? But in all honesty, we don't become angels unless, of course, we are an angel already, and we're here to experience being human and to help humanity at a more human level versus angelic level.
Like John Travolta.
Right. I had to think for a second, like, okay, oh yeah.
Michael, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Well, yeah, I have and it's been pointed out by a few spirit mediums, that I have my primary spirit guide that I call Matthew, who kind of smiled and shook his head when I asked the spirit medium to tell me his name, because he doesn't have one. But he is supposed to be extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
So he was described to me originally as he was never from Earth. He was never a terrestrial human, but he looks like he'd be, from back in the day, 30,000 some years ago in Egypt. And
right.
That's what was explained to me.
That's what I was seeing when you said Matthew. But because, we made angels look like humans. We made Michael look like Michael versus Michelle. We made them look like, because it gives us something to connect to, because they're just energy, as are spirit guides, as are extraterrestrials. Yeah, they have form. They have form from where they are from, but from that human, and I mean this literally, this very dense, we're very, very dense, literally and figuratively. It helps us tremendously to connect if we can visualize what it looks like. That's why when people start meditating, I direct them towards guided meditation first, because they're being told or suggested what to think about versus letting their mind simply go and explore. So once we can get past that, this is what they look like, and then just assimilate to the energy. So I'm going to guess by now you don't really think of Matthew as far as what the physicalness of him is. You just recognize his energy and go, oh, hey dude, how you doing? And you guys can have a conversation. Versus when you first started connecting with him, it would help, and correct me if I'm wrong, it would help if you had an idea of what he looked like.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Now, you were saying that one of your guides was White Buffalo Woman?
Mm-hmm.
Now, would that be, have you ever heard of the term White Buffalo Calf Woman?
Yes, same one.
Oh, it is? Okay, so she is because there are a number of people that I've spoken to who have the White Buffalo Calf Woman as a spirit guide. And I was thinking, how could they do that? But that is actually a supernatural being, so therefore you can.
Well, it's the same reason that Michael, the angel, is with you and with me and with anybody else at the same exact millisecond. It's energy.
Yeah, and time is man-made.
Exactly. So that's what when I do my lectures, I said, never, ever, 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 ever think you're not worthy to ask for their help, that someone is in more worthy or more in need of them at that moment, because that's one of the beauties of them. They can and are everywhere at the exact same moment. So it's up to you to ask for their assistance and then shut up so you can hear what they have to say.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, and we get through the chat rooms and things, we get a number of questions in regards to spirit guides and who they are compared to what they're like. They may not be related to you. And a lot of times they're not. They're just people.
And a lot of times they're not, exactly.
Yeah, they're assigned, or they put their hand up when they said, "Oh, who wants to go with James?"
Yeah, they're assigned in the sense that, depending what you're here to do in this life,
mm-hmm.
and what you are going through at that phase of your life is who's going to float in and out.
Yes. Mine, I have a female coming in for the next chunk here. It's not that Matthew's leaving. He's supposed to be taking a step back, and this woman is supposed to come in, and she is a person. She had been a human and passed, and she's coming into this next chunk to guide me wherever. So,
it's really fascinating to see. When you begin to become more familiar with the energy and how the cast, like, oh yeah, and it's like White Buffalo Woman. I haven't spoken of her in years, and yet it blurted out of my mouth tonight.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, I guess she's here. I guess I better start talking to her again. Because I really haven't thought about her for quite a while. So they ebb and flow depending on what is needed and how you can help here. And then what you're going through, like I have my gang because it's a very balanced energy, very grounded, but yet very out there. But then when I'm working on certain things, like I said, they'll step apart individually, but then the other spirit guides and ascended masters will pop in to assist me on whatever it may be.
Okay. Well, fascinating. We are talking to my new best friend, who lives on the other side of the planet, Christine Alexandria, and about all things angels. And we're going to drill down into more of this when we come back from our 7-minute stretch. We'll see you in a minute. Oh, make that 7.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I would like to invite you to listen Monday through Friday right here on Spaced Out Radio. 3 hours a night of the top stories with the top guests, ranging topics from UFOs to ETs, ghosts to Sasquatch, and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on 2 mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. 2 mediums and a large. Heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for news beyond the mainstream news? Head to spacedoutradio.com and check out the SOR Spacewire. This is Spaced Out Radio's Eric Markham, News Director for the SOR Spacewire. Daily, I will bring you intriguing stories and outlandish reports from what's going on around the world. UFO sightings, paranormal activity, conspiracies, alternative health, and so much more. And if you have news, email me at news@spacedoutradio.com.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners. For only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
Strange creatures lurking in the night, the sounds of wood knocking in the forest, odd happenings right out of a fictional world. These are the reports I love. Hi there, this is author Ronald Murphy, and I would love it if you join me and Spaced Out Radio host Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month on our journey into the unknown land of cryptozoology at spacedoutradio.com. From Mothman to Frogman and everything in between. Hey, they don't call me the crypto guru for nothing.
Greetings and salutations, space travelers, from the Chronicles of the Unknown team.
What is Chronicles of the Unknown? I keep hearing about this thing.
It's a new paranormal reality TV show based right here in beautiful British Columbia, Canada. Follow our team as we uncover claims of activity on the Caribou Gold Rush Trail. You can also follow us here every third Monday, where 2 members of our team will be available to answer your questions. We'll give you some equipment updates and some of our experiences on the road, right here on Spaced Out Radio.
For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. stories so weird that we'll leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Hey everybody, this is Patrick Webster Small, and I'm here to bring you the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night, live at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. If you're looking for aliens and extraterrestrials, well, we've got them. Big and tall, short and small, you're bound to find what you're looking for, so join me on the Webster Phenomena right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there, this is Jolene with Reveal Reiki and Readings, and I want you to relax. Let me help you chill out and get in touch with your body, mind, and soul. In this busy world, sometimes we need to let go, and this is where I can help. Visit my website, rivuletrndr.wix.com/Rivulet R&R, or my Facebook page, Rivulet R&R, to set up an appointment for relaxation, Reiki, or readings, no matter where you are. It's time for you to make time for you.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Every month on Spaced Out Radio, we look into the deep and dark reports of cryptids roaming around the world with me, Rob Morphy, from Cryptopia.us. I would love it if you would join me and host Dave Scott as we delve into the most arcane stories and reports regarding creatures of the unknown. My job is to hunt down the details and bring the evidence forward to you. These aren't your regular Bigfoot stories I'm talking about either. You can find out more about crypto history at spacedoutradio.com.
Tonight's edition of Spaced Out Weekend is brought to you by spacedoutradio.com, where you can now sign up to become a Space Traveler member. Now, for the final time tonight, here's Spaced Out Weekend's James Tyson.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you, David. We are talking to my very good friend, Christine Alexandria. She lives down in on the other side of the planet. And I want you to, well, not on the other side of the planet, other side of the continent. She's a Virginia lady. She is a angel intuitive. She talks to angels, and they talk to her, which is a really good thing, because I've known people who talk to things that don't exist, and they don't talk back, and it's kind of embarrassing to be on the bus with them. But if you were to please go to join her group, Angel Chatter on Facebook. Just put in Angel Chatter and look for her group. And it's a closed group. It's a secret group. It's a secret closed group.
It's not secret. It's just closed.
Okay. Well, it's closed, but it's open for you if you asked to join. I joined. See, I'm right there. And
you did.
Yeah, I did. So please do. And also, if you get a chance, go to her website, and it's angelchatter.com, and follow along with us while we're going through the shenanigans I like to call an interview. Before we took the break, we were talking about a few things. One of the things that I brought up was the difference between a spirit guide and an angel. Now, it seems, I've always thought, okay, I might have one angel who I don't know, I've never bumped into, and I've always been told about my spirit guides. How many angels, and is there any given amount or common amount of spirit guides versus angels, or who you may have helping you through your life?
Ooh, I like that question. All right, so you have had, everybody has had the same guardian angel since the very first time you incarnated. They travel with you every single life.
Oh, then I just have to say I'm sorry to my...
I know, I do the same thing often. I'm so sorry.
All right, sorry to interrupt. Carry on.
But again, it depends. So like if you're in the, the healing industry, whether it's a doctor, psychiatrist, nurse, healing practitioner, Reiki practitioner, massage therapy, chiropractor, you're going to have Raphael with you because you're about healing the person. Raphael may not be your guardian angel, but for that life, he's going to be one of your main guys. So you were with the Canadian Mountie Police, and you still have Big Mike in your backpack because of who you are, James. What you did was so much in alignment with who you were at that point. It helped give you confidence, but you are here to ultimately help protect people, not in that physical police officer, Mountie sort of way, but to help protect them energetically by giving them empowering messages, by helping them through certain things. So in many ways, you're like this big bear of a person energetically where you're protecting the cubs. So you're there to help protect people. And so that's one of the reasons Michael's always with you. And it's one of the reasons that we get each other's humor so quickly and why we are now new besties. Yeah. Because Michael is so much in our backpack. And Michael is really, really funny. And I tell people that are new to this, if you ever meet anybody that says they work with angels and then they say angels don't have a sense of humor, you go, bye-bye. Because angels do have a sense of humor. They have to in order to deal with us because we're so thick-headed. They have to be compassionate. And they use humor with me all the time, as they do with you, to get our attention.
Okay.
Because, think about, did you ever watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Yep.
Okay, so that you had a teacher in the front that's going, Bueller, Bueller. It's very monotone. My 7th grade math teacher was like this guy. I mean, the guy only had one tone whenever he spoke. Brilliant man. He ought to have been in some lab, not in front of a bunch of, 13-year-olds trying to learn math because I couldn't get anything out of this guy. And if all you start hearing is this, you see this mouth moving and nothing's coming out but blah, 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 blah. So they inject humor to get your attention. They inject humor not only to get the attention, but to get the message across. If I told you, you must do this, this, and this, it starts coming across, from my perspective, very judgmental. And then I start feeling really crappy because I'm not doing this, this, and this. But if I get ideas, these are things I could do. Using my card deck as an example, we had many arguments about this. And you can obviously see who won, and it was them. But I have yet to win a conversation with them when there is an argument. But they use the humor to get the point across.
Yeah.
And that's what Michael does besides the protection factor.
Yeah, I like we discussed before we went on air, I've always interject humor into things to the point that sometimes it's inappropriate, but
and I do the same thing.
Yeah.
And so thanks, Michael. It's like, but you do. And part of that, is because you're an empathic. So using humor at inappropriate times is a way to deflect the energy off of you quickly.
Yes.
And that's just something I've noticed that I did for years. And now that I'm aware of why I do that, I don't have as many. I still have them, but I don't have as many inappropriate situations where I think something's funny when it's really not. But
oh, come on, it is funny. Just other people don't think it is.
I'm sorry, it is funny, but it's really not good.
It may be totally inappropriate, and once you've said it out loud and you're trying to reach and grab those words and pull them back in, and you realize I can't. Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. You and I are the same being. You must be an Aries.
How did you know?
Oh, it's easy. I looked up on Facebook when you were born. It said April 13th, and then I looked up what the zodiac. I'm psychopathic. I can read your mind.
That term with you.
No, it is one of those things that I often wonder, like how it connects to your personality. Now, it's making more sense with what you're saying about Michael, because that is me. Now, the Heniel side, I understand she is one of the two archangels that allegedly, because I wasn't there, rumor has it, she and the guy who was on the walking for 40 years with
Moses.
No, the other one. He's big into the third eye activation.
Raziel?
Nope, starts with an M. Sounds like a dinosaur's name. Metrodon.
All right. So anyhow.
Metrodon? Yeah.
Oh, Metatron.
Metatron. I am Metatron. He and Heniel were supposed to be human beings at one point. Elevated to...
Metatron definitely was. And one of the reasons that supported... When you see an angel's name like Metatron and Sandalphon, his energetic twin, because Metatron oversees that soul star chakra. It's about 6 inches above your head. And his twin Sandalphon is 6 inches below your feet, the Earth star.
Oh, right.
That gives you an immediate nod that they were here as human.
Because?
Of how the name ends, I'm sorry.
Oh,
the O-N
The
ending.
on? Okay.
Mm-hmm. And now Haniel's never told me that. And
maybe I got that wrong.
No, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I've never gotten that. Because Haniel, so when I first, I did my first Reiki training session, I was a nervous wreck. So I'm in the kitchen keeping myself busy beyond busy. And I get this I see this symbol floating in my head. And I said, what's this? And they said, it's infinite love. I'm like, oh, cool. So when you become a Reiki master, that symbol also goes into you. And the more I worked with Haniel over time, and yes, I like to be logical. I am my father's daughter, and things have to make sense for me, even though what I do is pretty far out there. I said, well, what chakra do you work with the chakra? Yes. What chakra? Etheric heart. I start looking it up. There's no etheric heart. Yes, there is. And I go, explain, Lucy. So the etheric heart, you know where the heart chakra is. It's where, our heart, that general area. So the etheric heart is just a bit above the heart chakra. So all of my gang members, the Winged and Halo gang, have a nickname, and Haniel's is the manifester. Because Haniel... All right, so let's back up a little bit. Do you know that the symbol called Vesca Pisces?
I'm guessing it has some fish in it.
That'd be a good guess, but If you think of two wedding rings, you'll see it a lot for wedding designs, where the two wedding rings kind of interlink a little bit.
Yes, got it.
Okay, so that's your visual of what a Vesca Pisces looks like. It's actually on the cover of the Chalice Well in Glastonbury. So you can look up the Chalice Well, and you'll get another visual of it. Okay. So eons and eons ago, so this is your history portion of tonight, guys. Way back in Lemurian
test,
time.
Is it?
It might be. So better pay attention.
Okay, I'll be quiet. Go on.
So back in Lemurian times, when we were all energy, our chakras were linked up in this Vesca Pisces situation. Because one of the things that symbol represents, so again, going back to the wedding ring things, I am not responsible for making anybody happy, and nobody's responsible for making me happy. But what is joined in that union is what's brought to the table. And that's why we will then get energetically what we're putting out there. We can't get more than what we think we are worthy of. But each one stays very independent of the other. So if you think of a rainbow, James, you have red, but it doesn't go red and then stark to orange. There's this melding area. where the red and the orange blend, and then it's a very distinct orange, and then it blends a little bit more and it goes into yellow. So this Vesca Pisces, so the colors stay pure, but then you have that transition, that supporting. So the yellow supporting to make the orange, the red is supporting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So you take it now to the chakras, that the root chakra is equally responsible and supportive of the heart chakra. And when they explained that to me, I breathed a huge sigh of relief, because I can make an argument why any chakra is responsible for anything. But when you link up the etheric heart over the heart chakra, this gets kind of pretty heady here. That's when you start creating your heaven on earth reality. That etheric heart chakra really is the true gateway to the universe. It's not the third eye with the intuition thing, which is really, really cool. It's not the crown chakra. It's that etheric heart. Think of that term, etheric. It is otherworldly. It is pure energy. And when it links up with that physical heart, that's when that juicy stuff starts happening. And that's where Haniel plays in. Haniel helps you to create that heaven on earth reality. What do you really want? It's really, really cool stuff.
Oh, that's cool. I know that she was, and she's kind of big on my left side. Mm-hmm. And that's my mom's side of the family where I get my intuition strongest. And that's where I get all my goosebumps and stuff when I bump into something that had been alive at one time and is still hanging out in a building. Or if I'm reading for someone and I hit it right on, it's where I get told, shut up and move on. Don't overthink it. Don't repeat it. You hit it, move on. So that's my Henial side, I was told. My left, my female side. So,
yeah, I love that.
Yeah, she's the Venus, the associated Venus, joy and pleasure. Yeah, which has always wondered how that kind of mixed in my life. Why I had this lady who is to do with Venus and joy and pleasure, and how that was going to connect with me. But that makes sense. What you say about basically that is the direction. And
well, yeah, because we all have that feminine, masculine side within us. We may be female, we may be male, but we have both attributes. And it's when we can balance it that we are then truly us. That's
fascinating. You do you have one primary archangel, or do you have or two or three, or
I've got 15.
15 of the 9? Yeah.
Yeah, I have the 15. Those are my gang members.
That doesn't include your guides, right?
No. That's purely the archangels.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, is an archangel your guardian angel, or are the guardian angels just a quote-unquote angel that's assigned to you?
I think it really depends on who you are. Like I've had clients, and it doesn't mean, it's like I had this one client, it's a guy, and this whole spiritual thing was kind of new to him. So when he asked his guardian angel what his name was, he got Bob. He loved it. The guardian angel's Bob, and he was a happy camper. And it doesn't mean it wasn't one of the archangels, but it's just what my client at the time felt really comfortable with an angel called Bob. Because sometimes, because everybody that's interested in angels has certainly heard of Michael. Mm-hmm. He's probably the most famous of them all. So for someone to know that Michael's your guardian angel the first time out of the gate can be kind of scary for them. They're like, holy crap. Yeah. I don't deserve that. Well, yeah, you do, for starters. But so it's just your comfort level of how they're going to show themselves to you and what name and their name, it'll always be them, like I said earlier, but their name may change from life to life depending on what you're doing in that life.
Yeah. And what nationality I am, I guess.
Right.
too.
Yeah, who you are and what you're doing.
If it's Edith in one life and I'm Italian in the next one, it'll be an Italian.
Exactly.
Maybe. Yeah. What in your readings, can you tell, are you privy to the names of other people's angels?
They do come through.
Okay.
They do come through. Ironically, though, I don't get that question a lot. A lot of my clients, they're really focused more on how to make their life better and getting insights and ways to get their life propelled and kicked into a higher gear. So I do get, well, what's my guardian angel's name? I will get that periodically, but it's not a question I get asked a lot from my clients.
If mine comes through, just jump in and tell me.
Okay.
Is there a particular angel you work with
that
constantly?
I work with?
Yeah.
Gosh.
And why?
It's definitely Michael. Michael's with me all the time. Because, for protection purposes, not just driving the car, which, there was a great, not so great at the moment experience, or actually earlier this year, that he was the main character and prevented me and allowed me now to still be talking with you. I don't think I would have survived. But then there's that energetic protection. Yeah, because we hinted a little bit about the others, the not so nice stuff, and he helps keep them at bay for me, so I can do what I can focus on and do what I do best. There are many people that love battling and do it quite well, the lower energies.
Yeah,
it's not an area I care to play in.
Yeah, and bless them that. There's people to do that.
Bless them, go do it. God love you. Have fun. Thank you very much. I'm so glad it's not me. Because like I said, I've seen enough to go, oh, it really does exist. Oh, I so don't want to do that. And can we move on now, please? Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do want to touch on those, and we've, I'm thinking we got about half hour, 40 minutes left, but one of the things before we get there, I want to talk to you about the ask-formations.
Oh, okay.
What is that?
So affirmations.
Affirmations, yeah, to affirm.
Right, positive statements. They're gorgeous. They're amazing, but they don't always work. So we all have hang-ups about money at some level. And it's usually because we think we don't have enough. But we'll affirm, I am abundant. Ego jumps in and goes, yeah, you're abundant. How's that checkbook thing going? Wallet looks kind of empty right now, but I'm abundant. I'm affirming. Yeah, how's that working for you? And we'll get frustrated, rub our face, pull the hair, and why can't I make ends meet? And one of the laws of the universe says, I answer every question you ask literally. I don't interpret. So if you're asking, why can't I ever make ends meet? It doesn't go, oh, James, darling, I know what you really mean. You just won the lottery. That's not what you asked. What you asked is, why can't I ever make ends meet? So your ends will continue to get further and further apart. Money will continue to seemingly disappear. So using that same law, now make it work for you. Mm-hmm. So it's an ask-formation is an affirmation in the form of a question.
Oh, okay.
So the game changer, the one that has helped me be on the show and talk as freely as I am, and the one that will no longer have me hiding when I go to cocktail parties, is, why is it safe for me to be me? And that's the cool thing about this, James. You don't look for the answer.
Okay.
You just ask the question, and the universe, the angels, your guides, step in. And sometimes, you get a neon sign and you get an instantaneous answer, but it's more of this really beautiful unfolding. So I started asking this question. It was, sometime in the spring of that year. And I'm asking, and I'm not getting any neon sign. I'm not getting because you're so amazing kind of answers. But all of a sudden I have all these people commenting, wow, you're really tall. How tall are you? How'd you get to be so tall? I'm like, what is it with you people? Like, and it's coming from everywhere, from total strangers to friends that are going, you've gotten taller. And I find, and even my brother-in-law, who I've known for years, how you doing, tall sis? Like, what is it with you people? And a friend said, I've never seen you walk so confidently.
Okay.
And I went, oh. Now, you know, I always like to share that, okay, yes, I studied ballet for 11 years, so yes, I know good posture. So there wasn't this miraculous, you know, and it's one of those things I've kind of prided myself on. Thanks, Mom, for the ballet lesson. But I go to the doctor that following February. I have bronchitis, so I'm not feeling well. I'm hardly standing at my optimum. And, you know, they always weigh you and measure your height. And she measures me and she says, you're 5'9". And I look at her in my bronchial state. I go, can you measure me again, please? And she looked at me and she goes, honey, I've been doing this a long time. You're 5'9". What's the problem? Nothing. Thanks. And so I grew an inch.
Oh, wow. So it was a physical...
Yeah, I physically got taller and blew my mind. So I go back about a year later, I think for a checkup. I'm like, okay, I'm wondering now, okay, this is me being logical. It was a fluke. I had shoes on. There was something off. Nope, still 5'9". That's kind of what I said. So there you go. And I say, I can't promise you're going to get taller, but I'm not the only one.
Okay, that is interesting. I wonder if it's I know I kind of preach this thing to people about forgiveness, to get kind of meditate and go as far as back as you can remember where somebody did something wrong to you, and just the 3 words in your head, I forgive you, and then move to the next one. You don't have to dwell on at all. Like I say, you could have been kidnapped by the crew of a Greek freighter, but I forgive you. Move on. And after about the 6th or 7th night, I went back to my first one and said, I don't forgive anybody because it's got nothing to do with me anymore. It's all on them. And I felt like I was 3 inches taller. Mm-hmm. I felt incredibly tall.
Oh, excuse me. It's amazing that, you know, that power of forgiveness.
Yeah.
Is you know, and people are like, I can't forgive. I said, no, to understand, by forgiving, you're not forgetting, but by forgiving, you're giving back to yourself.
Yeah. Take the lessons you learned from that. If it was a relationship or something, put that in a file, because if those indicators come up again, you know what's coming. So remember what led up to it and what happened after it, but forgive the individual who was involved in it. Move on. Because what you're doing is you're carrying that around with you, and it's not yours to carry. It's their issue.
It's their issue, and they're continuing to have control. So, you know, I akin it to like you taking poison and hoping they get sick. They don't care anymore. They've moved on, and you're still carrying the weight. Forgive, so you can take your life back.
Yes, and move on.
And move on.
Leave that in tear off the rear view mirror, because what's behind you doesn't matter.
Exactly.
But
it has helped form who you are now, which is a really amazing person. You know, we're all human, which means we all do human, which is stupid. We're all here to learn. There's nobody that's perfect. So that level of perfection, even though, you know, Mary Poppins, and I say Mary Poppins is only practically perfect. Even she's not perfect, and that's my hero. Yeah. So that level of being perfect is really unobtainable. Do the best you can on anything you love. And if you give it your best, then it's perfect.
Yeah, you can only do what you can do.
Exactly.
And that's what we can all kind of listen to our own selves. We can only do what we can do. And don't get disappointed if you can't get to that next rung. It's not meant to be.
Sometimes it's not meant to be, and sometimes it's also that you're not ready yet.
Exactly. It's like, you're not. It's not meant to be at that time. It's like people saying, "Oh, I don't want to get read." Like I don't ever want to call into a psychic and get a reading, and I don't say anything because obviously it's not their time. There's nothing for them to know.
Right.
Yeah. This is cool.
And that, it's very, very cool. And that happens often.
Oh, yeah.
That where it's just, and I'll go. And I had a couple of clients in the last year, and I told my husband no charge when we're at the show. And then he's looking like, what? I said, I'm not happy.
He's a businessman. Yeah.
He is the businessman. And it's, it's the numbers. It's the bottom line. And I'm like, woo. And I said, and they'll look at me and I'm like, I said, I know what we did was good, but I don't feel it was a true connection. And I feel amiss in charging you. Mm-hmm. And they go, wow. Okay. Thank you. And then ultimately they come back for more, but that's not why I do it. It's just, that's my integrity. And if I don't feel that connection, I'm like, I just, and I'll tell people, I'm not the person for you. I think you'll be better in alignment. And I recommend to people all the time. Yeah. Give this person a call for healing. Give this person a call for whatever. I know what I'm really good at. And if I thought I could help you, I would. But I think this person's better for you.
Yeah. Because you and I are kind of jokers, next time that happens, just stand up and scream and run away. Hi, I've come to you for get away from me. Because that's so much fun. Why is that person herself screaming and running now? I want to, as we're cranking down to the end here, I want to talk to you a little bit about, or a lot about, but we only have so much time, that on the other side of love and life. What is it you saw, Christine, that was disturbing?
So years ago, I was friends with this woman, and she would spend hours and hours in meditation and very connected to Yeshua and Mary Magdalene. And she would channel them. And we went, and at the same time, she had told me, we had planned to go away for a seminar, weekend seminar, so we're going to share a hotel room. And I said, of course, save money, that'll be great, girls' weekend away, yay. And then I went, oh crap, because she had already told me she was being psychically attacked by these entities and being physically attacked, not just energetically, like they were truly touching her. I'm like, of course, then I made it all about me. Great, I'm not going to get a good night's sleep, and this is going to be in the bed, So I'm lying in bed, and I'm kind of drumming my fingers. I'm going, okay, is this going to happen or what? So I start dozing. I do wake up. I hear her rustling, and very quickly I see this image. It was like a dog-dragon thing combo. So it was like a dog because it had a big snout. It was big in energy, but not like monster big, but it was big enough. Big, long snout, fangs, kind of drooling, kind of snarly, ugly eyes. And it kept coming at me, but I could tell it was coming. It would hit like this invisible wall, shield. So I'm immediately going, thanks, guys, because I could feel it, and like the snout would almost get a little smushed, like a kid at the store, like it's smushing up there. Yeah. And knowing that she's connected to Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, I said, okay, you two, can you take it out of the room, please? The next thing I see is that they've put a leash, a collar on this thing. It has shrunk in size. It's got a leash. And it's healing as they escorted out of the room.
Oh.
Yeah, I kind of did the same thing, James. And I went, that was kind of weird. Because this was even early before I was really aware what was going on. I was still kind of playing, so to speak. I was exploring. So seeing that with such clarity, yeah, okay, I don't think I ever want to deal with that again, whatever that was. They go, okay, but it exists. I said, I got the idea that it does. Thank you very much. I understand it. I respect it. I'm not dabbling in it. And let those that love it, like we said earlier, go ahead and have at it and do battle with it.
Now, you said you understand it. What do you mean?
Well, I understand its existence. I understand that it does exist. I don't understand it like I would even, I understand more about you than I do about those. I understand it that there is a balance, because until we all ascend, until we all become light, going back to our initial state, we're heavy. We're physically, we're dense. You can't see through us. We're very heavy. So until that time that we become of light again, there's always going to be this heaviness, which is why you had this great aha moment back in 2012, and it keeps getting stronger and stronger. And there are many like you. There are many like me. There are hopefully millions of us that are waking up, that are coming back to who they really are in this point in time, to continue to help others become more empowered, to snap to and not allow themselves to be kind of, led astray or led by fear, might be a better term. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating. We get into labeling these things. Some people call them demons. Some call them elemental, earth, things that just existed on Earth. Right. Had a conversation with somebody who talked about literally the monkey on someone's back. This monkey coming out of the person's shoulders and over top of their head with the face of a cat and red eyes.
Yeah.
And when the person looked at this thing and the thing realized the person was looking at it, it freaked out and took off out of the guy. Because
that has also happened to, so the reason Askformations came to be was because we had this young man living with us and was just in a really, really, really bad place. We'll just kind of leave it at that. And we were at a store that I was doing readings at the time. And she's one of those that could literally see. And she actually called me, because I wasn't there that day. She called me and she says, I've got something to tell you. I said, okay. And this plays on what we've been talking about, the other side. She goes, he has this thing attached to them. You need to do this cleansing ritual at your home. And she goes, do not sage. And it was really funny that she said that specifically, because I had noticed every time I saged at that house, things actually got worse. Instead of making it all pretty, things would get heightened. So part of the ritual, obviously calling on Archangel Michael, and we're going around and it was a big heavy duty clearing out ceremony. And the last step was to go outside and to dump salt around the perimeter. Big piece of property. It was like over 3 acres, but the backyard was very small. And my youngest said, I'm not going out there, because by now it was dark. Because, again, I feel like a total slacker next to them. She has been seeing and hearing what's been going on in the woods since we had moved in. Mm-hmm. And she said, I'm not going out there. So I sent him, he says, fine, I'll take it. So it's a can of Morton salt, hardly anything special. So he thinks he's playing Mr. Macho. He goes out. It's a full can. He's not out there for 3 minutes, and he comes back in, and his face is ashen. I said, what's wrong? He turns the box upside down, and there's nothing coming out. I'm being logical. I said, is it empty? No. I'm like, get over here. The thing is heavy because salt absorbs not only humidity, but absorbs negativity, negative energy, lower energy, as I call it. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking, oh, it's August. It's humid. We're on the, the Eastern Shore area. It's humid. So I go out on the deck. I bang it on the deck to break it up. And I said, see, it's fine now. I turn it upside down. In 5 seconds, I kid you not, it was rock solid again. I went, good to know. Inside, we moved within a few months. And it was a gorgeous house. Gorgeous house. Not ancient by any means, but the land for that particular house was cursed. So I did not physically see anything there, but those physical things, the salt hardening, seeing how the energy was affecting everybody in the house was confirmation that I understand it. It's there. And it's not that you're weak, that you deserve this, but you're weak in the sense that your sense of self-worth, that resolve, that inner knowing is not as high as it could be, so they can sneak in. So think about when you're tired. You get, if you're like me, you get cranky. I get really whiny. I was sharing with my sister, the more tired I get, the quicker people become idiots. And I realized, no, it's me, I'm tired. So when you're in that tired state, you can physically get sick. You're weaker. It's that same kind of thing. So it's not a judgment that you're weak and you deserve this. It's about building up your reserves again and taking care of yourself and being diligent about your surroundings.
Yeah. A lot of the people that I come in contact with through work are very low vibration people. These are the ones who are committing most of the offenses.
Right.
And you can feel the negative energy around them. I was doing surveillance on what turned out to be one of the largest serial killers in Canada, and I was standing behind him, and it felt like it felt like if I took another step forward, I was going to fall into a hole with no bottom in it.
Wow.
It was just empty. It was just kind of this odd feeling. And this is in like 1998, 99, a long time before I knew of any of this stuff. And it was the weirdest feeling. And I expressed that to somebody when I got back, and that's why I remember it. It was just odd feeling. I wanted to look over his shoulder to see what he was doing, and writing at a counter. And I got close and went, "Oh, you don't want to get any closer than that." Just
it's kind of scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now I'm curious to see if somebody who is a seer could look at him and say, "Oh yeah, there is definitely a couple of things attached to that Yahoo." Right. And that's, I really don't care to see that stuff. Like I said, I know enough to be dangerous. Just like I really know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I respect it and I understand it enough and I understand me enough. I don't go there. Well, I wonder if the reason you saw the dragon dog or whatever little thing
it was,
was, okay, this isn't going to be terribly scary for her, but it's going to get her attention. So we're going to allow her to see it. It was scary enough for me to go, oh, there is stuff out there. Because I'm pretty much lollipops and unicorns kind of girl. Mm-hmm. Everything's always good. And people think I take happy pills and I don't. This is just who I am. Yeah. Because I can typically find a positive to most situations eventually. And you're exactly right, James. This was them saying,
don't get too cocky there, young lady. You know, there is other stuff out there you're not really ready for, or you're not supposed to deal with. So you watch your mouth.
Yeah. And I have, like, my buddy Sean Whittington, the guy in Las Vegas. This is what he sees. His wife will see human spirits that are trapped or haven't crossed. She can walk into a quote unquote haunted house and see those spirits. Sean can't. But when somebody's having a lot of negativity and really being, all of a sudden something's changed in their life and they're completely feeling heavy and drawn down, he can walk up to the house and he can feel what he's about to see. And when they open the door and he actually gets on his knees and does a prayer at the front, walks in, and he can hear them screaming. And he'll see them on the ceiling, on the walls, running from him because they know that he can see them and that he's there to clean them out. So what that tells me is that they are actually weaker than we are.
Yes.
Those of us with a higher vibration. Even just normal vibration.
Because that's that higher vibration.
Yeah. And what I'm saying is even those who are not empathic or empaths, the average vibration of an average person, that person gets physically ill under a lot of stress. Their vibration drops, drug abuse, alcoholism, anything like that, then they'll come in closer.
Yes.
And attack.
Exactly.
Because they can. They're parasites.
Yeah. And that's exactly what they are. They're parasites. They're finding, I frequently say, they'll go, oh, buffet's open, guys, let's go. Because they're just going to start feeding on you.
Yeah, in prisons,
yes,
bars where, you know, people may go to who are alcoholic to drink a lot. In our case, we have a place in Vancouver, British Columbia here called the Downtown East Side. Horrid collection of people with mental health issues and addiction. Just walking around with a big V for victim on their forehead.
Yeah.
Just existing. And those people, every so often, one of them goes a bit wonky and starts hurting somebody else. And, you know, then people say, well, it's completely out of his character or her character to do that. It's like something took over. Well, yeah.
And that's the irony of it, don't you find? Because people who don't play in our world will use those terms, and you'll go, "You're absolutely right," and they'll go, "What are you talking about?" You know, it's like, no, pay attention to your words because you speak them truth right now. You just don't understand the depth of what you are saying.
Yep. It's I've talked to a person not too long ago who, as a kid, 14 years old, she would hear a voice. She's very high empath, and she used to cut herself because it let the energy out.
Oh, wow.
And that's what she felt, that rush of energy leaving her. And she heard a voice saying, just press a little deeper. Just press a little harder, and it'll be okay.
Yeah. You'll be okay because you won't be here anymore.
Deeper. It's okay.
Yeah.
Do it. And then she got into an argument with this thing and eventually left because she strengthened up.
Good for her.
There is a lady, and I want to get her on. She wasn't one of these people who hear voices. Gone to the psychologist, diagnosed with whatever, put on medication, and she happened to meet somebody who knew a psychic and went to the psychic and said, oh, no, you hear voices. This one you should listen to. This one you don't. Very sensitive person. So they got rid of the negative one. Lady was off her meds, and there was a restaurant locally here that reserved a back room in the coffee shop for people who hear voices, who are on medication and disabled because they can't work because they're fighting these voices. And this lady still goes to these meetings, even though it's been 6 or 9 years since she's been off her meds, and she listens to other people who are hearing voices and tries to say, well, you know, if something's telling you something negative, that's the voice not listened to. But
exactly,
of course, it's hard.
And that's I'm so glad you said that because, you know, talking about angels, your guides, they'll say, don't go down that dark alley. That's not negative. That's a warning. Don't go in that building is a warning. They will not feed you anything that is negative, anything that is self-deprecating. You're stupid. You're ugly. That is all that lower energy. And that lower energy comes in a lot of times through the ego. And it wraps all in. And that can leave, depending on how you were raised, what your childhood was like, sometimes you're predisposed to that because that's what you've heard. Think of abused children. Excuse me. They didn't have any kind of role model to tell them that this was not satisfactory. So they get this thought that they're not worth anything. And they become this great eating buffet table for those lower energies to perpetuate all of those thoughts and actions.
Yeah, the people that I've run into, a lot of the sex trade workers who are also drug addicted, when you're standing beside them and looking at them, you can get to a certain point. Well, I could look at them and almost say, that person doesn't look human. Their eyes are completely different. And I've always written it off to be really crappy makeup and chain smoking since they were 10 years old and heroin. But it's the eyes that usually will remain the same. It's the eyes that'll
give it away every time.
Yeah. The eyes are... We don't change our eyes.
No. They're the window to your soul. And, I remember as a child always being fascinated with the person's eyes. And that's when I would know about them. And that's, we would go to parties or something and I would say, just you watch your back with that one. Why? Not a good vibe. They're out for themselves. And sure enough, they would show their colors.
It was, I did the same thing as a kid. The first couple of years going to a nightclub or a bar, I could sit in an area overlooking the dance floor and can tell you 5 minutes before there was going to be a fight that a person on one side of the bar was going to fight a guy on the completely other side. Just for the every so often, I'd see a glance between them that was completely different than ever. It was like there was all this energy and then there were these two beacons that were completely different than everyone else's. And sure enough, they'd have a conflict sometime very quickly after I noticed that. Or I could do that on a street, a crowd of people too. Yeah. And pick out the energies of different people. I could pick out, it's funny, before I was a policeman, I could pick off a surveillance team of policemen on a crowded street because their vibration was different than everybody else that was moving fluidly like water up and down the street. There'd be half a dozen or so people that matched everyone, but their energy was standing still. There was no flow to it. It was completely like spider senses were tingling and they were vibrating.
Oh, you have spidey senses too?
Well, I think, I've always said this. This is my theory on empaths. Maids, butlers, bartenders, waitresses, nurses, teachers, police, and not everybody in those careers are empaths. But when they are, especially in the police, they stick out as a higher energy. And we're always the good ones for... If I needed to get somebody to do interviews with an accused client, don't have them hanging out with victims too often if they don't know how to block, because that's what happened to me in my first 8 months. I was giving 20% of myself to each client. Christine, you called me saying someone stole my car. I talked to you, and by the time I was finished, it was somebody stole our car, and I would put way too much time into that.
Yeah, it's hard until you figure out what you're doing and how much of your power you're giving away in that. Because I did similar, and I would be drained. Like when I started seeing clients for energy, I would see one client, finished basement, they leave, and I come upstairs, and my daughter would go, "Mommy, you can't be doing this anymore." She goes, "You need to be taking better care of yourself." And no, I'm fine. Like, what do I know? She was spot on. I was taking on all their energy, and it wasn't until, I figured out how to cut my cords quickly that I could keep my power and not have them continuing to drain me. Hours, days, weeks, months, sometimes, long after we were done.
Wow. As we're closing out here,
I know. What
do you think happens to our energy after our meat sack no longer functions?
What do we do when we skip on over?
Yeah.
I think we go in for, depending how old we are and depending how we die, we go in for a bit of a rest, a bit of a spa day, so to speak. And the spa day can last, by our timeline, because it is all an illusion, as you know, for a while. And then, we'll do a review of how'd we do and what could we have done better? And am I ready to go to the next level? Or I don't have to go back, really? This is so exciting. So we get to figure things out again. And some, like I'll use my grandparents as an example, will hang around over there. The one grandfather's been quiet for a number of years, so I wouldn't be terribly surprised if he's getting ready to come back. So they become guides for their loved ones, or again, depending who they were in human form, how else can they serve? It's a really good question. I don't think anybody's ever asked me that. So that was completely off the cuff, but that's kind of what they were telling me.
All right.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. When in your belief system and what you've been told, or as we say when we're in court as a policeman, as a result of my training and my experience, I do believe it's my belief and my truth that if you were to pass away, do you believe in the Akashic records? Is there that checklist you kind of go through and said, okay, in this life you wanted to do these 10 things, you only got 9 of them and done? So you're going back into the next life. You're not going to live very long because you're going to get that one checked off in your first 10 months or first 5 years. And then we'll check it off and we'll bring you back. Do you believe something like that too?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do. But, there may be only that one thing, but if that's it, like that is the last straw, literally, then they are done. They have passed the karmic test for everything, and they can go back and just play. That's fine. But if they still have more things that they wish to learn from, grow from, or whatever, that one thing can then get added on.
Yeah.
So, we don't remember, or most of us don't remember what we discussed before we come down here.
Yeah. And if we did, that would just be freaky.
Yeah, I think there'd be a lot of us walking around with the checklist. Good, got that one done. Oh, great. And
then leaving one blank at the bottom because you're having a good time.
Well, not only that, but, yeah, you would do that because then it would also, for me, it would take away that joy of being in the moment, those nuances that can take your breath away because, life really is a beautiful thing. It may not have always beautiful moments, but you can find beauty on any given day and any given moment. So it depends what we're here for.
Yeah. Have your angels talked about other dimensions? Like we're living in the 4th dimension.
Right.
Once we get all our lives and done the checklist in this dimension, then we can go on to the 5th one?
Well, the dimensions are already melding.
Okay.
Yeah, they're already definitely melding. I have this one client. She loves using the word trippy. It was so trippy, Christine. Because she'll be having a conversation, even though she's in I don't even know where she's at right now, Nevada, but she knows this whole conversation happened when, in Paris.
Oh.
So there is that dimensional thing that is melding, I think, for many, many people. And unfortunately, a lot of those, depending who they are, society would label them a little crazy.
Yep, that's me.
Yeah. So it's, but yet you're highly functional crazy. But there are others that may not, because they don't know what's going on. So unfortunately, those are the ones that are going to go to the drugs, to the alcohol, to sex, to dull what they're sensing because they don't know. And it's really scary for them. They think they are going crazy, so they ultimately do because they don't understand. So if you have a great upbringing, or at least a supportive upbringing, which is rather great, or have people in your life now that can say, no, you're not going nuts. This really is what's happening. And you can go, oh, shoot, good.
Oh, shoot, I don't have to have sex anymore. Good.
I'm saying
hold
that,
on.
But it's just, it's
drugs, alcohol, and sex? Damn it.
Oh, darn it. But you have a better understanding of what's going on. And for you, it's very, very normal to experience multiple dimensions at any given moment. It's why, my sister's in California, and we will tease people because we look a lot alike. But we often will get, are you twins? And it's just an automatic answer. Yep, 8 years apart.
Yeah.
And it makes everybody do a double take until they get it. But I will know when she's having a bad day.
Yeah. Well,
one, because we are so connected, but two, it's that dimensional thing going on.
Yeah. I was told that I was last life in the fourth dimension, moving into the fifth dimension, and then I was told that I could actually move into the fifth dimension before I die.
I love it.
Like you say, they're melding.
They really are.
I don't know. I know. I was also told the sixth and seventh were body-free dimensions. Right.
That's going back actually to Lemuria, when we were all energy. Then we got too big for our britches and thought we knew better. The joke's on us.
So you.
The joke is so on us. And that's when we became physically heavy. And that's when all of the chakras then separated, stepping away from that Vesta Pisces situation.
Okay. Interesting.
It is.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Christine. This has been a hoot.
It has been a hoot.
I appreciate this. Again, if you want to get a hold of Christine, you can get a hold of her via her website, angelchatter.com, and look around for her book. There is a link in there for her book, Askfirmations. Make affirmations more effective by using powerful questions. And you can add it to your cart along with a new car. Hold on. That's the wrong website. And you still have your Angel Bells, blessings, chatter chips, keychains, jewelry. You've got lots of good stuff. Aromatherapy, drat, I was going to get into the candles and stuff, but missed out on that. Well,
they're pretty dynamite.
It's been fascinating. I really think it was great to have you on. Well, I know it was great to have you on.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. And for everybody else, and you, if you want to stay up really late, if you could tune in tomorrow night for 2 mediums and a large and get a reading over the phone or via Skype or whatever you want. Stay up until the middle of the night, Christine. It'll be good for you.
I will try.
Okay. Thanks again.
Thank you very much, James.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you very much. You bet. All right, everybody out there, go over to Christine's website and keep an open mind.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection.